Chapter 141. Jiang Sifei stroked her nails nonchalantly as she quipped, "Why don't I quit as well? How dare Lin Yan try to fight with her? She had thousands of ways to crush her." Lin Yan wouldn't even have a chance to retaliate. Duo, who had been watching from the sidelines, stomped her feet anxiously. She was doomed. Jiang Sifei, the award-winning actress, and He Shanshan, who was Wei Shufeng's backer. Was the production crew really going to kick Lin Yan out because of the pressure? She had to look for Sister Yen. Feng Anhua hurriedly tried to calm them down. "Hey, calm down. Don't be anxious. We didn't say that we wouldn't replace her." Wei Shufeng had been in a bad mood, so he had lost his patience after listening to the commotion. His face was dark and gloomy. Damn it. If he wanted someone to disappear, why did he have to nag so much? How dare she create rumors about him and pretend to be his girlfriend? How dare she spread rumors that he was deeply in love with an ugly woman? This was the biggest insult to a good-looking man like him. Not only was he going to kick her out of the production team, but he was also going to kick her out of the entertainment industry. How noisy. All of you shut up. Wei Shufeng kicked the coffee table and was about to fly into a rage. However, at this moment, his gaze suddenly passed through the quarreling crowd and inadvertently landed not far away in front of him. The door of the opposite dressing room suddenly opened, and a girl walked out from inside. The girl was wearing a classic black dress. The material of the dress was inlaid with black feathers, and the hem of the dress was swaying with delicate black feather tassels. Her slender and fair neck was adorned with a lace choker, and her waist-length hair was curled into a lazy, seaweed-like curl by the stylist. The space between the girl's dark green brows was cold and distant like frost. Her black eyes seemed to reflect the starry night sky, and her delicate lips were like poppies in full bloom. As she walked, it seemed like there were thousands of red spider lilies blooming under her feet. She was so beautiful that it made one's heart palpitate. Wei Shufeng felt as though an arrow had pierced through his heart. His mind was filled with only one thought: 10,000 years in one glance. The stylist, Kevin, chased after the girl furiously with a brush in his hand. "Lin Yan, stop right there. It wasn't over yet. And the makeup powder. The makeup powder hasn't been applied yet. Lin Yan? Lin Yan?" Feng Anhua and He Shanshan were engaged in a heated argument, so they hadn't noticed Lin Yan at all. In the end, Feng Anhua decided to ask Lin Yan to leave the production. Otherwise, Wei Shufeng would wreak havoc. Feng Anhua walked over to Wei Shufeng and said, "Miss Jiang and Miss He have both insisted on withdrawing from the cast. I'm in a difficult position. I've thought about it carefully and both of you have a point. Since everyone is so adamant." In that case, Feng Anhua had suddenly walked over and blocked his line of sight. Wei Shufeng reached out to push Feng Anhua away as he blurted out, "Let's get them out of the cast then." Feng Anhua, "All right." After saying those words, he suddenly realized that something was amiss. Ask them to withdraw? Ask Jiang Sifei and He Shanshan to withdraw. Chapter 142. Young Master Wei this. Feng Anhua glanced at Wei Shufeng, startled. Had he heard wrongly? Was Wei Shufeng asking Lin Yan or Qin Shanshan and Jiang Sifei to leave? Why do these words sound a little off? Qin Shanshan and Jiang Sifei hadn't heard what Wei Shufeng had said, but they didn't think too much about it. They instinctively assumed that he was trying to chase Lin Yan away. Feng Anhua, who was more cautious, wanted to probe further. However, Wei Shufeng's attention was completely focused on the person behind him. Is this Lin Yan? Wei Shufeng's expression changed several times as he stared at the girl. Although he had never seen Lin Yan in person, he had seen her photo. How could the person in front of him be the same person in the photo? Was that a picture? That was a lie. Feng Anhua, Jiang Yiming, and the others followed Wei Shufeng's line of sight and turned to look at the door. Their eyes lit up. The girl before them looked like Lin Pianruo, who had just walked out of a book. Besides her breathtaking beauty, her unique aura was noble and aloof. She was like a rose with thorns on a snowy night. What attracted people the most was the confidence and pride in the girl's eyes, which showed that she was not afraid of any loneliness or coldness. Jiang Yiming was so emotional that he almost burst into tears. Lin Pianruo. Lin Pianruo had come to life because of Lin Yan. He had never imagined that Lin Yan's makeup would be so perfect. Even her demeanor and aura were perfect. She was a perfect match for the character. Jiang Yiming was excited, but in the next second, his face darkened. As for Wei Shufeng, Jiang Yiming felt that he had to fight for her. Jiang Yiming strode over to Wei Shufeng. "Young Master Wei Lin Yan." Before Jiang Yiming could finish his sentence, Wei Shufeng snapped out of his daze. He glared at Jiang Yiming as he pulled Feng Anhua over. His expression was murderous as he threatened. Don't tell her a word about what happened just now. Jiang Yiming replied, I don't understand. What are you talking about, young Master Wei? Feng Anhua asked, her? Wei Shufeng looked impatient. Lin Yan? Jiang Yiming, what is it? What do you mean you can't say a word? F*C. Wei Shufeng was on the verge of exploding. Fortunately, Feng Anhua glanced at Lin Yan and his eyes lit up. He hurriedly said, Oh. I understand. Don't worry, young Master Wei. Not divulging. He would never reveal a single word. Nothing happened just now. Young Master Wei, you have nothing against Miss Lin. We are peacefully and amicably discussing the details of the next shoot. Wei Shufeng's expression softened a little as he adjusted his collar. At least one of you has a brain. Feng Anhua was surprised to realize that he had guessed correctly. He stole glances at Lin Yan as he said, Young Master Wei, shall I introduce Miss Lin Yan to you? Hurry up. Wei Shufeng glared at him. Yes. Feng Anhua said as he led Wei Shufeng over. Chapter 143. The corners of Feng Anhua's mouth twitched in astonishment. He had never imagined that young Master Wei would be so unconfident. Feng Anhua gave him a thumbs up. Young Master Wei, you're so handsome. There won't be a problem. Wei Shufeng shut his eyes and inhaled deeply. You know what to say later, right? Feng Anhua replied, I know. Of course I know. I have to know. Don't worry. Feng Anhua walked in front of Wei Shufeng and strode towards Lin Yan. Every time he got closer to the girl, his breathing quickened and his breathing quickened. They looked so alike. Could it be her? Meanwhile, Kevin had forced Lin Yan to put on her makeup. Lin Yan turned to Duo and asked, Duo, what did you want to tell me? Duo had wanted to rush in to report to Lin Yan, but Lin Yan had already come out. She looked completely different. She had only seen half of Lin Yan's makeup. She had never imagined that Lin Yan would look so stunning when she was done. Duo was momentarily stunned when she saw Lin Yan. She had almost forgotten what she was talking about. Duo snapped back to her senses and hastily quipped, Sister Yan, everyone is in a frenzy. Wei Shufeng has demanded an explanation as soon as he arrived. Jiang Sifei and He Shanshan have Wei Shufeng's support, so they have joined forces to threaten the production crew. If they don't chase you away, they will quit. Director Jiang wants to speak up for you, but he's afraid of Wei Shufeng's power. Feng Anhua is an opportunist, so he will definitely sacrifice you to appease Wei Shufeng. I'm afraid that we're really doomed. Duo was wailing incessantly when producer Feng suddenly darted forward with a warm smile. He gazed at Lin Yan with an exaggerated expression. Oh my. Lin Yan, you're so beautiful. You suit Lin Pianruo perfectly. We're so lucky to have such an outstanding actress on board. Lin Yan was startled by Feng Anhua's sudden enthusiasm. Producer Feng, you're flattering me. It's all thanks to the stylist's amazing skills. The corners of Feng Anhua's mouth twitched. Who would use such words to describe themselves? Ahem. Wei Shufeng's eyes were glued to the girl. He cleared his throat and urged her impatiently. Feng Anhua hurriedly led Lin Yan forward. Come here, Lin Yan. Let me introduce you to someone. This is the actor you're going to be acting with today. Wei Shufeng's arrogant and frivolous demeanor was nowhere to be seen. The boy stood there obediently as he stared at her with sparkling golden eyes. Even his unruly reddish-brown hair seemed to have become docile as he greeted her politely. Hello, I'm Wei Shufeng. He was Wei Shufeng? Didn't Duo describe Wei Shufeng as a hot-tempered tyrant just now? This attitude, this feeling, is there something wrong? Lin Yan was even more confused now. She instinctively replied, Hello, Lin Yan. Chapter 144. Sister Yan. Lin Yan was speechless. Duo was speechless. Duo was dumbfounded as she stood there in a daze. What was going on? Why did Wei Shufeng look like a completely different person? It felt as though a raging Tibetan mastiff had transformed into an obedient and adorable Samoyed. If Wei Shufeng had a tail, it would have been wagging wildly. Duo swallowed her saliva in confusion. What is going on? Kevin scanned Wei Shufeng from head to toe as he raised an eyebrow. What else could it be? Men? Wei Shufeng's face darkened as he sneered. Duo was speechless. Besides Duo, Jiang Sifei and He Shanshan were equally astonished. Jiang Sifei had deliberately delayed Lin Yan's photo shoot on the first day. Hence, this was Lin Yan's first time getting her makeup done. Jiang Sifei had never imagined that Lin Yan's makeup would be so stunning. She had to admit that she had been so jealous that she had almost gone crazy when she had first seen Lin Yan. Jiang Sifei, who had always cared about her looks, felt as though a thorn had pierced her heart. Fortunately, it didn't matter how pretty Lin Yan's face was. When Jiang Sifei saw that producer Feng and Wei Shufeng had walked over, she hurriedly followed them in her high heels. Yi Shanshan hurriedly caught up with them, ready to watch a good show. Jiang Sifei stood there arrogantly. Producer Feng, isn't it time to ask Lin Yan to leave the production? Yi Shanshan chimed in hastily, Producer Feng, even Brother Feng has spoken. Are you going to let someone like her stay and be an eyesore to Brother Feng? The moment the two of them walked over, Wei Shufeng's adorable and obedient face darkened. However, Lin Yan was around, so he suppressed his emotions and shot Feng Anhua a glance. His murderous gaze almost scared Feng Anhua out of his wits. Feng Anhua hastily pulled Jiang Sifei and Yi Shanshan aside. Producer Feng, why did you drag us here? What's the meaning of this? When is that woman going to leave? Yi Shanshan asked in displeasure. She had already run out of patience. Yi Shanshan had assumed that Wei Shufeng had spoken to Feng Anhua and Jiang Yiming privately to ask Lin Yan to leave the production crew. However, Feng Anhua and Jiang Yiming still wanted to protect Lin Yan. Feng Anhua sneered coldly. Who said that Lin Yan wants to leave? Mind your own business and stop worrying. You, Producer Feng. Do you know who you're talking to? Yi Shanshan was furious. Jiang Sifei frowned as well. Producer Feng, you better think this through. Is it worth it for Lin Yan? Feng Anhua, who already had someone backing him up, did not care about the two of them. He glanced at them and smiled faintly. Movie Queen Jiang, please don't threaten me. With your role, I can easily find someone to replace you. If you wish to withdraw, then please do so. Feng Anhua glanced at Yi Shanshan and said, Of course, Miss Yi Shanshan, you too. Chapter 145. How could Jiang Sifei and Yi Shanshan let the matter rest? Yi Shanshan immediately wanted to complain to Wei Shufeng, but Feng Anhua seemed to know what they were up to. He immediately said, We are going to start filming in a closed-door setting. Anyone who is not involved should leave first. He called for the crew to clear the place. Jiang Sifei gritted her teeth and sneered coldly, Producer Feng, since you insist, don't blame me. Let's go. Yi Shanshan stomped her feet angrily and followed them. After they left, Jiang Yiming, who was still in a daze, walked over. Old Feng, what happened? Feng Anhua's face was beaming with joy. What do you mean, what's going on? Will they be alright if they let Jiang Sifei go just like that? What happened to Wei Shufeng? Why did his attitude change so suddenly? Jiang Yiming's mind was filled with questions. Did Wei Shufeng think that Lin Yan's style is good and change his mind? That's not all. Feng Anhua patted Jiang Yiming's shoulder helplessly. Old Jiang, haven't you figured it out yet? Forget it. You should focus on filming. Just take it that Wei Shufeng has changed his mind and stop fooling around. Don't worry about anything else. Leave it to me. Oh yeah, what's the first scene today? Asked Feng Anhua. At this point, Jiang Yiming looked worried. Fang Canyang and Lin Pianruo will have to interact with each other tacitly. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for them to do so in their current state. For example, Lin Pianruo will return late and Fang Canyang will throw a tantrum. Will Wei Shufeng be able to act like this? Feng Anhua glanced at Wei Shufeng, who was trying his best to act obedient. He chuckled and replied, I don't think it will be a problem. In fact, Feng Anhua was a little surprised by this matter. After all, he had heard rumors that Wei Shufeng had been wooing Lin Shuya. How had he fallen in love with Lin Yan all of a sudden? However, Lin Yan's appearance had indeed been stunning. Given young Master Wei's character, it was understandable that he had fallen in love with her at first sight. However, he was puzzled. Even if Wei Shufeng had fallen in love with Lin Yan, he could easily get any woman he wanted. Was there a need to be so nervous? He hadn't expected Wei Shufeng's attitude to change so drastically. Before filming even started, he had probably already gotten into Fang Canyang's character. Sister Yin, I've been looking forward to working with you. Sister Yin, what about you? Wei Shufeng addressed her as Sister Yin in a friendly manner. His eyes sparkled as he gazed at her. What shocked her the most was that he actually said that he looked forward to working with her. Lin Yin was completely dumbfounded. Was Duo hallucinating, or had Wei Shufeng taken the wrong medicine? Wei Shufeng was completely different from what Duo had described. Instinctively, Lin Yin glanced at Duo in confusion. What was going on? Plenty's reply was a face filled with even more question marks. Lin Yin was speechless. She felt that Wei Shufeng must have taken the wrong medicine. After all, he had posted on Weibo to diss her last night. Why did his attitude change so drastically today? Chapter 146. Lin Yin had already made up her mind to keep a safe distance from the people on her death list. However, she had never imagined that Wei Shufeng would be so unpredictable. Fortunately, at that moment, the crew member walked over and said, "Young Master Wei, can we start the styling now? We have prepared a private makeup room for you and a top stylist." Wei Shufeng frowned slightly. "A private makeup room?" Yes. Don't worry. We have already prepared a makeup room. No one will disturb you." The staff member nodded. Wei Shufeng replied, "There's no need for that. Let's do it here." Here. The staff member asked in a daze. Wei Shufeng replied, "Yes. Also, you don't have to arrange a stylist for me. Who is Sister Yan's stylist? Just get him to do the makeup." The staff member was dumbfounded and didn't know how to respond. Everyone knew that Wei Shufeng was a young master and that he was very demanding. They had already cleaned up the makeup room and prepared the stylist for a long time. All that was left was a bath and incense. However, not only did he want to put on makeup, but he also wanted to hire an ordinary stylist? Wei Shufeng's eyes gleamed. "What? Is there a problem?" The staff member didn't know how to answer him. Feng Anhua walked over and said, "No problem. Of course not." He turned to the staff member and said, "Just do whatever young Master Wei asks you to do. Can't you even do this?" Okay. I'll make the arrangements now." The staff member scurried away in confusion. Wei Shufeng sat down beside Lin Yin and started to put on makeup. Kevin was the stylist. Kevin was very familiar with Wei Shufeng's reputation. When he heard that Wei Shufeng had asked him to do the styling, he couldn't help but feel anxious. Before he put on makeup, he asked cautiously, "Young Master Wei, do you have any requirements for the makeup and styling?" Wei Shufeng glanced at the girl from the corner of his eyes as he stroked his chin and muttered to himself, "Is there a style that can mesmerize the girl next door?" Kevin was speechless. He really wanted to know how Wei Shufeng had managed to change his attitude towards Lin Yin without any qualms. Furthermore, he had even managed to say those words. His face, doesn't it hurt? The corners of Kevin's mouth twitched. "Young Master Wei, based on what I know, you posted something on Weibo last night? I can help you recall the content. Are you blind?" Wei Shufeng raised an eyebrow. "So what? I'm just blind, can't I?" Kevin was speechless. Sure. While Wei Shufeng was putting on makeup, Duo was nagging at Lin Yin. This isn't right. I met Wei Shufeng when I was working on set. No one is more difficult to please than him. The temperature of the coffee has to be precise, and the food has to be prepared by a private restaurant. He also has all sorts of ridiculous requests. How could he be so easy to talk to?" Lin Yin didn't know which one was more reliable, but she couldn't be bothered. While they waited, Lin Yin couldn't wait any longer. She clicked on her phone and focused all her attention on choosing a hero. Chapter 147. She didn't have enough time. If she couldn't improve her level, she would have to pay a fine. Wasn't she taking too long to put on makeup? Lin Yin had just started the game when Assistant Director Wu Wenhai walked over. He frowned when he saw that Lin Yin was playing a game. "Hey Lin Yin. What's wrong with you? Filming is about to start. Why aren't you getting ready? Why are you still playing?" Wei Shufeng's hair was covered with small clips. He was in the middle of putting on makeup, but his attention was on Lin Yin. His face darkened when he saw her. "Sister Yin likes to play games, so just let her. Why are you causing trouble? Don't you know that people hate to be interrupted?" Then he turned to Lin Yin. "Sister Yin, what game are you playing? Can I join you?" Lin Yin was speechless. Duo was speechless. Was there something wrong with the plot? Shouldn't Lin Yin be the one pestering Wei Shufeng and trying to create a scandal? Why did it seem like the exact opposite? Duo wasn't the only one who sensed that something was amiss. They had thought that Wei Shufeng would fly into a rage and that Lin Yin would have to bear the consequences. Who knew that Wei Shufeng would be so gentle and polite to Lin Yin? No, he wasn't gentle and polite at all. Wei Shufeng was as obedient as a bunny in front of Lin Yin. Assistant Director Wu Wenhai was also dumbfounded by this ancestor's scolding. "Huh?" Wei Shufeng lowered his voice and hissed, "Why? Don't you understand me?" Wu Wenhai jumped in fright and bowed hastily to Lin Yin. All right. Lin Yin. Continue playing." Wu Wenhai was inexplicably scolded. He scratched his head in confusion and ran to find Feng Anhua. "Old Feng, what's going on? Hadn't Wei Shufeng been kicking them out earlier? How had he changed so suddenly?" Producer Feng, who wouldn't reveal Wei Shufeng's true intentions, told Wu Wenhai solemnly, "Regardless of the situation, you just have to know that you can't offend Lin Yin." Wu Wenhai was speechless. Wei Shufeng's makeup was done in no time. He just had to change into his costume. After some time, Wei Shufeng changed and walked out of the fitting room. Wei Shufeng had already changed out of his heavy metal punk outfit. He was now wearing a clean white t-shirt, light blue jeans and white sneakers. He had taken off all the necklaces, bracelets and earrings. Even his precious reddish-brown hair had been dyed black by Kevin. His soft and smooth black hair made him look even more obedient. The heavy makeup on his face had also been removed. It seemed that he had only put on a layer of foundation and applied some makeup on his eyebrows. He looked fresh and clean. Wei Shufeng's facial features were perfect and exquisite. Without the heavy makeup, he looked like a freshly minted university student. When he smiled, he could melt a person's heart. The staff at the side couldn't help but scream. "Ah! Oh my God!" Wei Shufeng's puppy look was against the rules. Who can withstand this? What an arsonist. Even director Jiang Yiming was satisfied. Very good, very good. This style is very suitable. She hadn't expected Wei Shufeng to be willing to dye his hair. Chapter 148. Wei Shufeng sprinted towards Lin Yan as though he was presenting a treasure. "Sister Yan, do I look good?" *CK. Why was he here again? Don't come near me. If you have something to say, just say it. The moment Wei Shufeng approached, Lin Yan grabbed her phone and retreated 10 steps at the speed of light. She had to maintain a distance from him. No one could create any scandals about her. Wei Shufeng's eyes dimmed when he saw Lin Yan's guarded posture. His tail, which had been wagging non-stop, seemed to droop. He looked as though he was a heartbroken pet that had been abandoned by its owner. The staff members at the side looked at each other in dismay. From just now they had all been confused. Feng Anhua hurried over to Lin Yan and said, "Lin Yan, we are about to start filming. You should get to know young Master Wei first. You don't have to be so distant." Wei Shufeng's ears perked up when he heard her. Lin Yan hastily replied, "It's fine. I can get into character quickly. I promise that there won't be a problem." Wei Shufeng was speechless. Feng Anhua quipped, "But I'm afraid there might be a problem with young Master Wei." Lin Yan quipped, "How could that be? Young Master Wei is so good at acting. There can't be a problem." Feng Anhua was at a loss for words. He couldn't possibly say that Wei Shufeng's acting wasn't good. How strange. Why wasn't Lin Yan playing by the rules? Shouldn't she be trying to pester Wei Shufeng? Why was she hiding faster than a mouse? Jiang Yiming suggested, "Why don't we start filming now? If we delay any longer we won't have enough time." Feng Anhua pondered for a moment and decided to start filming now. Lin Yan wouldn't be able to hide from him. "Young Master Wei, why don't we start filming now? You and Miss Lin will be filming together." Feng Anhua probed. Wei Shufeng glanced at Lin Yan obediently. "I'm fine with anything. I'll listen to Sister Yan." Lin Yan was speechless. The corners of Feng Anhua's mouth twitched as he glanced at Lin Yan. "Miss Lin? Sure. I can start filming anytime." Lin Yan nodded hastily. He had to finish filming as soon as possible so that he could stay away from danger. Jiang Yiming walked over and told them about the show. "Shufeng, let me tell you something. In the show, Lin Pianruo is the woman you love the most. You pour all your love and passion into her. Hence, when you look at her, your eyes have to be passionate and passionate. When she ignores you, you have to look hurt, aggrieved and angry. You have to imagine her as your goddess." Jiang Yiming coughed softly, as though he was afraid that Wei Shufeng would flip out again. "I know it's difficult for you, but you can give it a try." Assistant Director Wu Wenhai also said, "I remember that you have an actress that you like very much, right? I think you even posted something about her on Weibo. It wasn't a secret that Wei Shufeng had a goddess that he was obsessed with." "It's not an actress," Wei Shufeng replied solemnly. Wu Wenhai hurriedly slapped his head. "Oh right, I remember now. She's a female racer who never shows her face. She's very good at racing and is internationally famous. I've seen you on Weibo before, young Master Wei, often posting her race tickets, almost never missing a single one." Chapter 149. Everyone knew that Wei Shufeng had a goddess. She wasn't from the entertainment industry and she was a racer, so his fans weren't averse to her. Instead, they thought that Wei Shufeng's beauty was unique and adorable. Many of them were fans of that female racer just like Wei Shufeng. Wei Shufeng gazed at Lin Yan in a daze as he muttered, "I don't even have to imagine. She was indeed." Lin Yan glanced at Wei Shufeng unconsciously. Wei Shufeng chased after a celebrity? And he was chasing after someone in the same industry? A racer? Could it be someone she knew? Jiang Yiming assumed that Wei Shufeng meant that there was no problem. Hence, he hurriedly explained to Lin Yin, "Lin Yin, you should know Lin Pianruo's character, right? She only cares about her career. She doesn't believe in love, nor does she need it. To her, Fang Canyang is just a companion she keeps by her side to kill time. She doesn't love Fang Canyang and has no romantic feelings for him. You have to control your emotions. You have to make it seem like you have feelings for him, but you have to be heartless. Do you understand me?" Wei Shufeng's face darkened with every word Jiang Yiming said. "What kind of lousy script is this?" Feng Anhua comforted him. "Young Master Wei, this script was adapted from a novel." Lin Yin nodded and replied, "Oh, I understand. Lin Pianruo is an emotionless money-making machine. As for Fang Canyang, she doesn't care about him at all." Jiang Yiming muttered, I guess so." Although Lin Yan's words sounded crude, they were indeed accurate. Wei Shufeng was speechless. "I want to change the script." Duo stood aside and muttered anxiously, "Isn't this too difficult? Who would be able to ignore Wei Shufeng's words?" The other crew members shared Duo's thoughts. *CK. Will Lin Yan try to take advantage of Wei Shufeng later? But why does it seem like Lin Yan is avoiding Wei Shufeng? She must be up to something. She must be playing hard to get. And then what's with Wei Xiao Wang's abnormal attitude? Why do I feel like they are the complete opposite of what the rumors say? Hearing this, the other staff members also chose to remain silent, their faces full of puzzlement. After that, Jiang Yiming clapped his hands and said, "All right, everyone, get into position. We will begin the first scene of the day." As soon as he finished speaking, all the staff were ready. The clerk held the board in his hand. Round 37, 3, 2, 1. Action. Lin Yin shut her eyes and inhaled deeply. The moment the staff announced the start of the show, the carefree and casual look on her face vanished instantly. Her expression was as cold as ice. She held a document in one hand, her coat in the other, and her phone in her ear as she strode out of the house. Then, while talking on the phone, she changed into slippers and walked into the living room. At this moment, the camera changed direction and switched to the sofa in the living room. On the sofa, Fang Canyang, who had been waiting for Lin Pianruo to return, fell asleep because he was too tired. Fang Canyang was wearing a white t-shirt and jeans. His silky black hair was a little messy, and he was hugging a pillow in his arms. When he heard the commotion, he got up from the sofa in a daze. Chapter 150. Wei Shufeng watched as Lin Pianruo changed into her slippers and entered the house. He watched as she hung her jacket on the hanger and hurried into the study to look for some documents. Then he watched as she hurried into the bedroom to search for something. From the beginning to the end, his gaze had been following her around like a puppy. When she was done, she hung up the phone and walked to the window. She lit a cigarette and read all sorts of documents on her iPad. From start to finish, she didn't even look at him. Fang Canyang's expression changed from one of infatuation to one of resentment and anger. At the same time, Jiang Yiming couldn't help but glance at Lin Yan. Stop. Lin Yan, you acted well, but your attitude towards Wei Shufeng was a little too much. Not only did you lose your heart, but you also lost your kidney. Even though you don't love Fang Canyang, you still like him." Wei Shufeng was speechless. Jiang Yiming's words pierced Wei Shufeng's heart. Lin Yan replied, "Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try again." Lin Yan couldn't avoid Wei Shufeng at all costs, so she couldn't put herself in his shoes. However, she was smart enough to think of an idea. She decided to imagine Wei Shufeng as a kitten. To Lin Pianruo, Wei Shufeng's existence was no different from a kitten that could flirt with her. The filming resumed. Fang Canyang's face darkened as he questioned her. "Where did you go? Why did you come back so late?" Lin Pianruo didn't lift her head as she continued to read her iPad. "Company dinner?" Fang Canyang clenched his fists. "Dinner? Then where did the perfume on your body come from? Do you have a dog's nose?" Lin Pianruo chuckled softly. "I chatted with Qinjing for a while." Fang Canyang flared up. "Qinjing? Is Qinjing again? Do you need to be so close to him to chat? Do you like him?" Lin Pianruo replied, "I like you." Lin Pianruo gazed at the young man as though he was a kitten that had messed up its owner's wool. She couldn't help but like him. Jiang Yiming's face was filled with excitement. His intuition was right. "You." Wei Shufeng fell into a daze when he saw the doting look in her eyes. His cheeks flushed red. This scene had no trace of acting at all. It was too natural. Very good." Jiang Yiming shouted. The scene had only taken 2 takes. Both Wei Shufeng and Lin Yan's performances had been on point. It had been so smooth that he had almost burst into tears. After the director announced the end of the scene, Lin Yin regained her usual expressionless look. The staff members who had been prepared for a long period of time could not react in time. It's over? I didn't expect Lin Yin to be so good at acting. It's indeed a little unexpected. Not only is the style appropriate but the acting is also passable. Director, are we done? Lin Yin strode over to Jiang Yiming. Jiang Yiming's face lit up with joy. Yes. You guys are cooperating very well. Wei Shufeng leaned over and glanced at the monitor. Is that so? I think it's just SOSO. Not good at all. Let's reshoot it a few times. Lin Yin frowned. Why not? It's really good. Wei Shufeng corrected himself instantly. Oh, I think so too. Jiang Yiming was speechless. Chapter 151. Lin Yin seriously suspected that Wei Shufeng was suffering from schizophrenia. After the shoot, Lin Yin returned to the makeup room to remove her makeup. Oh my god. You have to remove your makeup after putting it on for so long? Why is it so troublesome to be a woman? Lin Yin had just sat down when she heard footsteps behind her. Wei Shufeng had followed her again. Ever since she had come out of the makeup room, Wei Shufeng had never left her line of sight. It was as though he was afraid that she would run away. Lin Yin cautiously stood 10 steps away from him. Mr. Wei, what's the matter? Wei Shufeng's attitude seemed to have softened. He gazed at her calmly and said, Sister Yin, you can call me Xiaofeng. Lin Yin frowned and decided to get straight to the point. Mr. Wei, I'm going to get straight to the point. You should know that I have a criminal record and that there are rumors about us. You even responded to them last night. I think, as a normal person, no matter what, you should keep your distance from me and I also. Before Lin Yin could finish her sentence, Wei Shufeng lowered his head and said, I'm not a normal person. Lin Yin was startled. Wei Shufeng replied, I'm blind. Lin Yin was speechless. Wei Shufeng inhaled deeply and gazed at her intently. Sister Yin. You really don't remember me? Lin Yin was taken aback. What do you mean? Wei Shufeng sounded as though they had known each other in the past. However, she hadn't known Wei Shufeng at all. Wei Shufeng looked anxious when he realized that Lin Yin didn't seem to remember him. 3 years ago, in Boston, Massachusetts, in Country M, there was a charity dinner organized by the International Automobile Federation. The organizers wanted to raise funds for children, so many famous racers donated their items to be auctioned off. Lin Yin looked as though she was reminiscing. She had an impression of that auction. She had been there at the time. She had auctioned off a more memorable necklace. It was a small bronze plate with the time of her first official competition after coming abroad. That night, the necklace had been sold at the highest price. Hence, she had a deep impression of it. Why would Wei Shufeng mention this all of a sudden? Could it be that he also went? Wei Shufeng stared at her for a long time. When he was certain that she couldn't remember him, his eyes reddened. Sister Yin, you auctioned off a bronze plate with the date of your first competition in Country M. I managed to bid for it. As Lin Yin stared at him in shock, Wei Shufeng lifted his collar and took out a bronze token that was the size of a coin. Finally, the young man clutched the necklace with his fingers and stared at her, enunciating each word. Do you really not remember me at all? Yeva? Lin Yin was speechless. The moment Lin Yin heard Yeva's name, her face fell. She stared blankly at the necklace on Wei Shufeng's neck. Holy shit. Even if she racked her brains, she would never have guessed. Wei Shufeng. Was he her fan? She actually had such magical creatures as fans? Of course that wasn't the point. The point was that this was too much of a coincidence. Wei Shufeng put the necklace down when Lin Yin remained silent. Suddenly, he tugged at the corner of his shirt and tore it off right in front of her. Lin Yin was scared out of her wits. What was going on? Why was he talking all of a sudden? Why did he take off his shirt? She was an upright actress and racer. She would never be a fan. Chapter 152. When Lin Yin remained silent, Wei Shufeng put down the necklace and started to take off his clothes in front of her. Lin Yin was scared out of her wits. What was going on? Why was he talking all of a sudden? Why was he taking off his clothes? She was an upright racer. She would never do such a thing to a fan. If anyone were to see this, she wouldn't be able to clear her name even if she jumped into the Yellow River. Lin Yan's first reaction was to dash to Wei Shufeng's back and lock the door. After she locked the door, Lin Yan realized that she looked even weirder after she had locked the door. There was an eerie silence in the makeup room. Lin Yan turned around stiffly. When she did, she saw Wei Shufeng standing there with his upper body bare. The scene was unbearable. What was going on? Lin Yin placed her hand on her forehead. Wei Shufeng. Calm down and listen to me. Wei Shufeng gazed intently at the girl's eyes as he strode over to her. He pointed at his waist and said, "Don't you remember this signature?" Lin Yan's eyes followed his gaze and landed on his waist. There was a tattoo of Yeva's name. "I didn't have any paper, so I asked you to sign your name on my body. Later on, I couldn't bear to wash it off. In the end, I tattooed your signature on my body. That way it will always be there," Wei Shufeng said slowly. Lin Yin gazed at her fan. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't touched. When she had competed overseas, she had devoted herself to the competition and hadn't paid attention to the outside world. The charity dinner had been the only event she had been willing to attend. That had been the first time she had realized that she had a fan who loved and supported her so much. However, how was she supposed to face her former fans in this state? Lin Yin collected her thoughts and glanced at him. "I'm sorry, Wei Shufeng. I think you got the wrong person. I'm not who you said I am." "You're not?" Wei Shufeng's face fell. "You've seen Yeva before. Are you sure that she looks like me?" asked Lin Yin calmly. She recalled everything that had happened. She had been wearing a mask and a cap as usual. She hadn't shown her face in front of Wei Shufeng. Wei Shufeng pursed his lips and shook his head. "She rarely shows her face. Other than the racers who race with her, almost no one has seen her face. When I saw her, she was wearing a mask and a cap, but, your eyes," Wei Shufeng lifted his head and met the girl's eyes. "Your eyes are exactly the same as hers. I won't be wrong this time." Wei Shufeng sounded as though he had made a few mistakes in the past. Lin Yin replied helplessly, "Since you've never met her, how can you be so sure that I'm her just because we have similar eyes? Also, my resume and information are open and transparent. If you think about it carefully, you should know that I can't be the person you're talking about." Chapter 153. Lin Yin coughed softly. "That's because I've heard of her name before. The scandal of her using banned drugs has spread like wildfire. Besides, hasn't she been banned from racing forever?" Wei Shufeng's face fell when he heard Lin Yin. The passion in his eyes froze. "Shut up. What do you know? How could you say that about her? What *T scandal? What banned drugs? Had they seen it with their own eyes? She was practically competing with her life on the line. She flew around almost the entire year and participated in 168 competitions, big and small. She was invincible in all the regional level competitions, and in 37 of them she won the championship 30 times, the second place 5 times and the third place 2 times. She walked all the way to the pinnacle of the world. With her strength, did she need to take forbidden drugs? A racer needs to be clear-headed and calm during a race. If she gets too excited during a race, she might cause an accident. Why would she take drugs? Only a rookie racer with insufficient stamina and energy would do such a thing. Although Yeva is a girl, her stamina, energy, experience and skills are far superior to those bastards. ***, do those people who spread rumors have any brains? Do they even have any common sense? The more Wei Shufeng spoke, the more agitated he became. In the end, his eyes were bloodshot. Lin Yin listened to Wei Shufeng's words with an indescribable feeling in her heart. She had made too many enemies. When the scandal had spread, everyone had kicked her while she was down. She hadn't expected to hear Wei Shufeng say such things after so long. "I'm sorry," Lin Yin apologized. Wei Shufeng inhaled deeply as though he had calmed down. Then he squatted down and buried his head in his hands. He hugged his knees and leaned against the couch without a word. Lin Yin scratched her head and picked up the clothes on the floor. "Put on your clothes first." Wei Shufeng raised his head and glared at Lin Yin. "You aren't her. Why did you pretend to be her? Did you do it on purpose? Are you coveting my body?" The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. "Young master, why did you change your attitude so quickly?" Lin Yin quipped. "You mistook me for Yeva and took off your clothes for me to see." "Shut up. A person like you is not worthy of calling her by her name." Wei Shufeng glared at her. "Why do your eyes look so much like hers? Why do your eyes look so much like hers? Who gave the approval?" Wei Shufeng's face was filled with "You're not worthy and I won't allow it." He wanted to dig her eyes out. Lin Yin sighed helplessly. She was indeed an unreasonable person. Lin Yin was about to say something, but Wei Shufeng buried his head between his knees and fell silent. After a long while, the young man's low and hoarse voice could be heard. "She disappeared after that competition. Someone said that she returned to China. I've been asking around and looking for her for a long time, but I still couldn't find her. Where did she go? She wouldn't do something stupid, would she? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. She's already an adult. What else can she do? If she can't race, she can still do something else. Maybe. Yeva? Wei Shufeng turned to glare at her. Shut up. Stop insulting my goddess. If you're her, I'll jump out of this window. Chapter 154. Wei Shufeng snatched his shirt back from her and put it on. He had regained his arrogant demeanor. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief. Finally he was back to normal. Lin Yan removed her makeup and went to the fitting room to change into her own clothes. When she came out, Wei Shufeng was still sitting on the couch in a daze, as though he had suffered a huge blow. Lin Yan lowered her eyes and sighed softly. If he knew that the goddess he had loved and supported had fallen to such a sorry state, he would have suffered an even greater blow. Young Master Wei, if there's nothing else, I'll make a move first. Lin Yan picked up her phone and bag as she bade him farewell. Wei Shufeng, who was still in a state of depression, remained silent. Lin Yan pursed her lips and pushed the door open. Duo had just arranged for a car to pick Lin Yan up. When she came out, the two of them walked out of the set. Sister Yan? Duo hesitated. Lin Yan asked, what? Duo coughed softly and asked worriedly, you were in there with Wei Shufeng for a long time. Did you do anything to him? Why aren't you concerned about your artist's safety? Why didn't you ask him what he did to me? Lin Yan snapped. He had merely wanted to show her a tattoo. Why did he have to strip? Wasn't that scary? Duo was speechless. In the past, Duo would have lashed out at her. However, after such a magical day, she wasn't so sure anymore. Lin Yan had just reached the door when she bumped into Jiang Xifei and He Shanshan, who were surrounded by a group of reporters. He Shanshan was yelling angrily at the reporters. That's right. I was the original actress who played Lin Pianruo. Lin Yan snatched my role away from me. Today she is filming a scene with Brother Feng. She has been harassing Brother Feng relentlessly under the guise of filming. We really had no choice but to watch Brother Feng being bullied by that woman to this extent. Hearing He Shanshan's words, the reporters went into an uproar. Oh my God! How could that woman be so despicable? How will the remaining male celebrities dare to join the cast? Jiang Xifei chimed in, we really don't know. For the sake of the other artists, Shanshan and I have discussed this with the production crew. However, I reckon that Lin Yan has been pestering them relentlessly. She threatened them with the contract and refused to leave. The production crew couldn't do anything about it. Some of the female reporters were Wei Shufeng's fans. When they heard this, they were infuriated. His idol had been bullied to this extent. How could he tolerate it? Suddenly, a sharp-eyed reporter spotted Lin Yan standing not too far away. Lin Yan. It is Lin Yan. All the reporters swarmed over to Lin Yan and Duo. Their microphones and cameras almost hit Lin Yan's face. Lin Yan. Someone in the cast said that you used filming to harass Wei Shufeng. Do you have anything to say? Are you going to tie Wei Shufeng up and shamelessly continue with the scandal? Wei Shufeng has already made a public statement on Weibo. He hates you so much. Why are you still clinging on to him like a piece of plaster? Lin Yan was speechless. She was clinging on to Wei Shufeng. All right. As long as you guys are happy. Before the reporters could surround them, Duo dashed out of the crowd and shielded Lin Yan with all her might as she walked away. Lin Yan stared at the lass in surprise. Duo finally escorted Lin Yan out. She snorted angrily. I merely promised Sister Ling that I would watch over you. She had witnessed what Lin Yan had done with her own eyes. She had no idea what had gotten into Lin Yan, but she hadn't gotten close to Wei Shufeng at all. However, Wei Shufeng seemed to have gone crazy. He had initiated a conversation with Lin Yan the entire time. She knew very well that no one would believe her. Instead, she would be mocked and ridiculed. Chapter 155. It had been a thrilling day. When Lin Yan reached home, she scrolled through Weibo. Indeed, because of Jiang Xifei and He Shanshan's actions, the netizens were scolding her even more. As usual, she posted getting rich every day on Weibo and refreshed the trending page. Then she saw Wei Shufeng's latest post. Wei Shufeng typed, "In my world there will be no sunlight in the day and no stars in the night." Wei Shufeng's fans felt their hearts ache when they saw his sentimental post. Come and take a look. Look at what she has done to our child. Our child is willing to make such a big sacrifice for the sake of her professional acting. This news is infuriating. I want to send an electric baton to my baby. If Lin Yan dares to come near, I will electrocute her. Is there no way to get rid of this malignant tumor of the entertainment industry? Sigh. Every single trending page was filled with her own gossip. There wasn't any fresh gossip. How boring. Lin Yan tossed her phone aside in boredom. Then she fished out a yellowed photo from the bedside table. In the photo, a 5-year-old boy was tugging at the corner of her shirt as he stood beside her timidly under a cherry blossom tree. The other half of the photo was of Lin Shuya. Lin Yan stared at her brother in a daze before she picked up her phone and dialed a number. The call was answered after a few rings. Lin Yan asked, "Hello, is there any news about my brother?" A deep male voice came from the other end of the phone. "According to the information you provided, I have already locked onto a few targets. However, those targets are not ordinary organizations. It will be very difficult to get the information. I still need some time." Lin Yan's eyes dimmed when she heard the answer she had expected. "Got it? Thank you." The man sighed heavily. "Actually, I advise you not to get your hopes up. With your brother's condition without your protection, the chances of him surviving are slim." Lin Yan's voice quivered. "I won't give up until I don't see his corpse." Years ago, she and her brother had been kidnapped and sold. They had been sold to an underground laboratory and locked up for a long time. She didn't want to recall what had happened during that period of time. Later, she was forcibly separated from her brother. She couldn't imagine how her brother would face those terrible things without her by his side. She pretended to cooperate, and when they let down their guard, she finally found a chance to escape. However, when she went back to save her brother, the laboratory seemed to have disappeared into thin air. There was no trace of it. When the police arrived, it wasn't a laboratory but an abandoned warehouse. At the time, she was still very young. She told the police that this was a laboratory and that there were many other children like them locked up here. However, the reply she received was that they had already investigated this place and it was really just an abandoned warehouse from start to finish. She had also gone to the hospital for a full body checkup, and there were no problems. Everyone thought that she was mentally stimulated and was babbling nonsense. As for his younger brother, he had yet to find any news of him. It was as if this person had completely vanished from the world. And what happened during that period of time seemed to be an illusion. An illusion. Chapter 156. The person on the other end of the line sighed heavily and asked, "How has your body been recently?" "I'm worried that your body might suffer from some unpredictable side effects." "I'm fine. It's been so many years and I haven't had any problems. It's just that mentally. Forget it. It's not a big problem. Don't worry." Lin Yan's heart skipped a beat as she spoke. Had she been suffering from mental problems recently? Was it a side effect of being in the laboratory? Her body had been fine all these years, so she had never thought about it. After Lin Yan hung up, she was lost in her thoughts when a voice message popped up on WeChat, interrupting her train of thought. It was Pei Yutong. Why was this kid looking for her again? Lin Yan answered the call suspiciously. "Hello. Big sister-in-law? Are you home?" asked Pei Yutong. Lin Yan replied, "Yeah, I'm home. What's wrong?" "What the? Why are you home again? It's still early. Why didn't you go on a date with my brother? The way you two interact is so weird. It's fine if you call him a strange name, but why haven't I seen you two go on a date after all this time?" Pei Yutong complained incessantly. Lin Yan coughed softly. "Who said that you have to go on a date? Everyone is so busy, especially your brother. He must be very busy with work. It's good if you don't have time. How can you do that? If we don't maintain our relationship for a long time, it will affect our relationship." Pei Yutong persuaded her earnestly before he muttered, "Are you kidding me? Why do you need a single person like me to remind you about this? I'm really worried about this family." The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. "Classmate, can you stop worrying about my relationship with your brother? So why did you call me? Is it because of this?" No. I have something more important to do." Pei Yutong sounded excited. "Big sister-in-law, I have an important competition tomorrow. Do you want to watch?" Lin Yan quipped, "Tomorrow? I don't have to film, but..." Pei Yutong replied immediately, "Come here then. Come here. Our team has recruited an amazing racer. He will definitely crush that idiot Song Yanen. You have to come and watch. It's definitely going to be spectacular, and I'll regret it for life if I don't watch it." Lin Yan pursed her lips. To be honest, she wasn't interested in competitions of that level. Come on. Look, you can't even see my brother. If you come over to watch me compete, I'll take the risk to take more videos of my brother." Pei Yutong tried to entice her. Lin Yan blurted out, "No need. Thank you." She would be thankful if he didn't shoot her any more weird videos. *CK, you're still not tempted? Pei Yutong muttered to himself for a moment before he said, "Do you want my second brother's autographed poster? It's an anniversary limited edition. Signed poster. And it was a limited edition." As a humble fan, Lin Yan, who didn't even have an ordinary signature from Pei Nanshu, was instantly tempted. An autographed poster and a limited edition at that? You really have it? Pei Yutong's heart sank when he heard Lin Yan's excited tone. "Big sister-in-law, how could you reject my big brother's video and choose my second brother's autographed poster? Don't tell me you're trying to two-time me. *CK. If that's the case, which side should I stand on? Big brother or second brother? How should I choose? Damn it. Was he seriously considering which side to choose? Lin Yan was exasperated. What do you mean by two-time? I already said that your second brother is my idol. All right. No matter what, are you coming or not? If you come, I will secretly deliver my second brother's poster to you behind my big brother's back. Why did this sound so strange? Chapter 157. However, to Lin Yan, Pei Nanshu's limited edition autographed poster was rather attractive. Actually, it didn't matter whether it was a poster or not. What was important was that it was a limited edition poster. If she auctioned it, she would be able to earn a lot of money. No. It was her idol's limited edition poster. How could she think of selling it for money? Sister Yan, are you still listening? Say something. Don't hide. I know you're listening. Pei Yutong's voice rose several decibels. I'm listening. Lin Yan snapped back to her senses. Sister Yan, honestly, do you want to be my big sister-in-law or second sister-in-law? You have to tell me. Otherwise, I won't know if I should call you big sister-in-law or second sister-in-law. Pei Yutong sighed heavily and added, it's hard to be loyal and righteous. Sister Yan, let me tell you a shocking secret. Don't tell anyone else. What secret? Who is it about? Asked Lin Yan curiously. It's about my big brother. Pei Yutong replied softly. Oh, don't tell me then. It's dangerous, replied Lin Yan. No, you have to listen. I'm afraid that you'll go down the wrong path. I'm doing this for your own good. Pei Yutong rattled on. Lin Yan was speechless. Who would force someone to listen to a shocking secret? Wasn't a secret supposed to be guarded? What was going on? All right, tell me. Lin Yan had no choice but to listen. Sister Yan, let me tell you. My big brother is definitely not what you see. My big brother is really terrifying. Pei Yutong quipped. Lin Yan replied, Continue? Are you done? Pei Yutong asked. Lin Yan was speechless. The so-called shocking secret was this? To think that she was really curious just now and wanted to eat a big melon. Everyone knows what you said. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. What kind of secret was this? Pei Yutong had mentioned it several times. Sister Yan, have you misunderstood something? Let me tell you. What you see is only on the surface. Don't be fooled by Big Brother. He is 1,000 times scarier than what you see. No, he is 10 million times scarier. Pei Yutong blurted out anxiously. All right. I got it. Lin Yan grinned. Pei Yutong scratched his nose. Sister Yan sounded as though she was caring for a mentally handicapped person. He must have heard wrongly. Sister Yan, do you want to be my big sister-in-law or second sister-in-law? Pei Yutong repeated himself. Be your sister. Lin Yan pinched her temples. Was he a repeater? Little Sister Yan, I know what you mean. Pei Yutong grinned. However, in the next second he heard the busy tone from the phone. Lin Yan hung up instantly. She felt as though she had been dragged down by Pei Yutong. Was he really Pei Yuqing and Pei Nanshu's biological brother? She felt that if she continued talking to Pei Yutong, she would become a retard. They had the same parents and the same environment. How could there be such a huge difference? Before Lin Yan could relax, Pei Yutong called again. Chapter 158. The moment she picked up, Pei Yutong's passionate voice rang out once again. All right. I got it. Lin Yan sighed helplessly. Pei Yutong was simply a pest that she couldn't get rid of. If she didn't agree, she was afraid that Pei Yutong would keep calling her until her phone ran out. Haha. Sister Yan, let's make a deal. You can't stand me up. Sister Yan, I'll hang up now. Pei Yutong said cheerfully. Hold on. Lin Yan interrupted him hastily when she heard that he was about to hang up. Sister Yan, what's wrong? Pei Yutong was puzzled. Autographed, limited edition, poster. Don't forget it. Lin Yan replied firmly. Pei Yutong was speechless. All right. Don't worry. I will definitely steal it for you, Pei Yutong promised. Lin Yin hung up immediately after hearing Pei Yutong's promise. This brat. Lin Yin clutched her phone and couldn't help but feel a little dazed. If that incident hadn't happened and her brother had still been around, he would have been around the same age as Pei Yutong. At the thought of her brother, Lin Yan's eyes unconsciously flashed with a hint of fierceness. If it hadn't been for that bunch of B** starts, one day she would have hacked those people into pieces and made them regret their actions. Lin Yan composed herself and took a few deep breaths. She immediately suppressed the restless emotions in her mind. She had lost control of herself more than once and the consequences were severe. Each time she would suffer a devastating blow. Now she could adjust her emotions and control the number of times she lost control. Even now, Lin Yin still felt a chill down her spine when she recalled everything that had happened in the laboratory. It had been a purgatory and a real hell. If she could, she would rather forget everything that had happened in the past. Unfortunately, this memory was like a burning iron that was imprinted in her mind. Ever since she was young, her ability to comprehend and learn had been extraordinary. After the laboratory had been modified, it had become even more terrifying. If it hadn't been for that, perhaps she wouldn't have become the world's top racer. Her ability to comprehend and learn wouldn't have been so amazing. However, at the same time, she had lost her younger brother and left with uncontrollable sequelae, as well as that painful memory that could not be erased. Ever since she had escaped, she had deliberately concealed the changes in her body. However, she still didn't know if she could be considered a normal person. His current schizophrenia was probably a side effect of that time. Being possessed by a ghost was indeed a little too unscientific and rigorous. Fortunately, she had been quite normal recently and did not have a relapse. She hoped that she could continue to maintain it. She did not want to be locked up in a mental hospital in the future. The next day, Lin Yin wore a cap and a mask to the venue that Pei Yutong had assigned her. Car racing is divided into track racing and non-track racing. Non-track racing venues were not enclosed. Most of them were held in the wild. There were rally races, cross-country races, mountaineering races, beach races, mud races, and so on. Not long after, Grandpa and the others started a non-track race. It was a rally race with a team of racers and navigators. Track racing referred to racing in a designated enclosed field. This type of track racing was generally more enjoyable to watch, because the spectators could sit directly on the two sides of the stands and watch the race immersively. Pei Yutong and the others were competing in the arena. Chapter 159. Pei Yutong was busying himself with an excited grin on his face. He looked as though he had already pinned Song Yaonan and the others to the ground. "Sister Yen, why are you here?" Pei Yutong was startled when he saw Lin Yen. He hurriedly put down what he was doing and walked over to Lin Yen. He handed her a bottle of water. Before Lin Yen could respond, Pei Yutong seemed to have recalled something. He blurted out excitedly, "Oh yeah, Sister Yen. Let me introduce you to them." Pei Yutong gestured to a few young men and women. "Sister Yen, do you know them?" Lin Yen scanned them from head to toe and shook her head in confusion. "I don't know them." None of them looked familiar, so she had no impression of them. One of the young men glanced at Lin Yen coldly before he shut his eyes again, as though he was recuperating. "Sister Yen, are you serious? You're good at driving. You're considered an expert. You're a racer. How could you not know the members of the ZH1 team?" Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yen in shock. This was ridiculous. ZH1 was the top team in the country. They had participated in the third level of the international competition. Everyone in the country who loved racing knew about ZH1. Pei Yutong would never have guessed that Lin Yen, who was good at racing, wouldn't know about ZH1. "Sister Yen, your racing skills have been wasted." Pei Yutong cast a disdainful glance at Lin Yen. "Huh?" Lin Yen was startled. "What do you mean?" When Lin Yen had been overseas, she had only met the top teams in the world. She wasn't familiar with the local teams. "Sister Yen, everyone knows about ZH1, especially the people in front of you. They participated in the third level of the international competition. How could you not know about them?" Pei Yutong quipped. "The third level of the international competition?" Lin Yen fell silent when she heard Pei Yutong. The international competition was indeed a high-level competition, but there were 3 levels. The highest scale was the global first division, followed by the second division and the third division. When Lin Yen had first debuted, she had participated in the second level of the international competition. She wasn't too sure about the third level of the international competition, because it was really unimpressive. Even the disciples of her disciples had never participated in the third level of the internationals. "Sorry, I'm not sure." Lin Yen grinned. Forget it. Pei Yutong waved his hand dismissively and grinned. He squeezed his way to Lin Yan and said, Sister Yan, let me introduce you. Pei Yutong gestured to a young man. Sister Yan, this is Zichuan's captain, God Zi. Hi God Zi. Lin Yan nodded hastily at him. The young man raised his head to look at Lin Yan. However, he retracted his gaze and didn't say anything. This is Brother Q and that is Mumu. Pei Yutong introduced them one by one. Lin Yan nodded at them one by one. Other than Mumu, who greeted her with a smile, the rest of the racers glanced at her out of the corner of their eyes. Chapter 160. No, you guys don't understand Sister Yan. How about this? Let's find some time to let Sister Yan demonstrate her talent. I'm sure your opinion of her will change. Pei Yutong replied hastily. Actually, this was how the racing industry was now. Female racers weren't valued. In fact, they were looked down upon. Women weren't as good as men when it came to racing. Racing wasn't like driving a private car. It required an extremely calm mind, and one's stamina and energy had to be very strong as well. One's mind needed to be extremely clear and calm. Otherwise, the slightest carelessness could lead to a car crash and death. Besides, racing wasn't something that an ordinary person could endure. It was extremely demanding on one's mental fortitude and it was tough. Women usually couldn't persevere. Even if they did, they wouldn't be able to perform as well as men. Besides, there were countless cases of cars crashing and people dying. Once an accident occurred, it wouldn't be a minor one, be it during training or competition. Hence, there were very few female racers in the country except for a few talented racers. Pei Yutong, forget it. God Zi ignored Lin Yan and stared at Pei Yutong. I'm not interested in her. I don't think she has any talent. Let her enjoy her life and watch the competition. Pei Yutong hesitated. He really thought that Lin Yan was talented. It would be a pity if she was buried like this. Pei Yutong, she doesn't even know about ZH1. Pei Yutong, she doesn't even know about ZH1. How would she know anything about racing? Ask her if she knows about the third level of the international competition. Has she watched it live? If she had, she would have heard of us. We made it to the top 16 in the previous level. How could she not know about us? The ZH1 team member glanced at Lin Yan contemptuously and sneered in disdain. As a girl, you should focus on being beautiful. Why would you talk about racing? Don't you think that women and racing are incompatible? Racing is such a sacred thing. Don't you think that you should respect it? Another ZH1 racer sneered coldly. Lin Yan's eyes darted to the ZH1 racer. Did he have a grudge against women? Did he look down on female racers? Pei Yutong could only sigh when he saw God Zi's unyielding attitude. There was no room for negotiation. But I have a few disciples who have just joined the sect. If she really wants to play, I can discuss with them and take her in as my disciple, God Zi suddenly said. That's fine too. God Zi's disciple is definitely not bad. Pei Yutong nodded eagerly. He glanced at Lin Yan. Sister Yan, what do you think? Nothing much. I don't have any plans to become your disciple, replied Lin Yan. One of the ZH1 members glared at Lin Yan coldly. Why are you throwing a tantrum because God Zi didn't accept you as his disciple? Who gave you the confidence to think that you can be God Zi's disciple? Lin Yan was speechless. Was there something wrong with the brains of the top team members that Pei Yutong had invited? Were they mentally ill like her? She had schizophrenia, while the ZH1 members were delusional. Chapter 161. Pei Yutong, tell your friend to be more grounded. Don't be delusional. God Zi stood up slowly and glanced at Pei Yutong. I don't think my disciple would accept such a person. I'm going to check the venue. That's all. With that, God Zi left the logistics room with his teammates. Hi, don't take it to heart. If you really like racing, I can teach you when I'm free. ZH1's racer, Mumu, strode over to Lin Yan and chuckled softly. Actually, they didn't mean you any harm. Racing isn't for ordinary people. It's extremely dangerous. Of course, if you really like racing and are determined enough, I can give you some guidance. Mumu, that's great. Pei Yutong blurted out hastily. Okay. Leave your contact details later. I'm going to check the venue now. Mumu nodded at Lin Yan and Pei Yutong before he left. After all the ZH1 racers had left, Pei Yutong turned to Lin Yan and exclaimed excitedly, Sister Yan, this is really a glimmer of hope. You're in luck. Although Mumu can't be compared to God Zi, he's still very good. He's a good person. Lin Yan nodded in response. What do you mean by good person? He's a good person, but Sister Yan, aren't you focusing on the wrong things? It's his racing skills. Pei Yutong quipped. Lin Yin glanced at Pei Yutong. Where's my limited edition poster? Sister Yin, you're hopeless. How could you be thinking about a stupid poster at such an exciting time? Pei Yutong retrieved a brand new poster from the storage room and handed it to Lin Yin. Lin Yin opened it. Indeed, Pei Nanshu's limited edition poster hadn't disappointed her. Instantly Lin Yin saw stars. There weren't many limited edition posters. Even famous actresses in the industry couldn't get their hands on one. There's only one. Is that all? Lin Yin rolled up the poster carefully as she asked Pei Yutong. That's all. I only stole one. If you think it's too little, I can steal more next time, replied Pei Yutong. Third young master Pei Nanshu is your brother. How can this be considered stealing? Go back and get more, quipped Lin Yin. Anyway, it's about the same. Pei Yutong cocked his head to the side. Then, as though he had just recalled something, he hastily added, oh yeah. Sister Yin, follow me during the competition. Watch the ZH1 players compete and learn as much as you can. Lin Yin was speechless. He could even learn this? Then she could just watch the world's top competition on television. What was the point of wasting time here? Sister Yin, there's still some time before the competition starts. I'm going to check out the venue. Go ahead. I'll look for you later. Pei Yutong scampered off. Lin Yin didn't linger. She got up and left. However, just as he left the logistics room, he bumped into a man. Didn't you bring your eyes out? The man shouted in displeasure. I'm sorry. Are you all right? Asked Lin Yin. It's you? Wei Shufeng lifted his head and was taken aback when he saw the girl in front of him. Wei Shufeng. Lin Yin hadn't expected that Wei Shufeng would show up here and bump into her by chance. Did you follow me? Wei Shufeng stared at Lin Yin with a frown. Lin Yin was speechless. Chapter 162. Why would I follow you? Lin Yin was speechless. Alright, I got it. Wei Shufeng stared at Lin Yin as the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Lin Yin, let me tell you something. Even if you start racing now, you will only be you. You will never become Yeva. Lin Yin was speechless. Did she need to become Yeva? She had always been Yeva. Lin Yin, don't think that you can become the person in my heart just because you know my story. You will only make me feel disgusted. Do you understand? Wei Shufeng's eyes suddenly turned sharp. Don't try to change yourself into Yeva. You are not worthy and it is impossible for you to do so. Before Lin Yin could respond, Wei Shufeng's phone rang. Dad. What? Now? Wei Shufeng looked displeased. I'm at the racetrack. There will be a good show today. Alright, I got it. I will head back now. Wei Shufeng hung up, looking frustrated. ***, do I have to watch the He family team's elimination competition in a few days? Wei Shufeng turned to Lin Yin and hissed coldly, remember what I said. My goddess will always be Yeva. You will never become her. Be yourself and don't insult Yeva. Otherwise I will make you regret it. Wei Shufeng didn't give her a chance to respond before he turned and left. Lin Yin hadn't expected that Wei Shufeng would be so interested in the racing competitions in the country. She hadn't expected to bump into him here either. However, if Wei Shufeng hadn't been so obsessed with racing, he wouldn't have had the chance to know Yeva. Wait a minute. What did Wei Shufeng say? That he could only watch the He family team in a few days? Which He family team? Lin Yin rested her chin on her hand as she mulled over this. Only her grandfather's team was in charge of the He family team in the capital city. If that was the case, wouldn't she have to face Wei Shufeng again during the elimination round? Lin Yin began to ponder whether she should change her appearance. She didn't want to say that she had pretended to be Yeva to get close to him. Even so, if Lin Yin really had a chance to compete, Wei Shufeng would have to admit that she was Yeva. Lin Yin couldn't help but feel troubled. It was too difficult for her. Before long, Lin Yin arrived at the arena and surveyed her surroundings. It had to be said that Pei Yutong and Song Yaonan had chosen a decent track. At the very least, it would be able to support a large competition. Lin Yin had watched the two racers and realized that there wasn't much of a difference between them. This time, Pei Yutong and Song Yaonan had put in a lot of effort. There was not much difference in the performance of the racers, so it all depended on the performance of the racers. Especially in a race, the handling of details was crucial. It directly affected the outcome of the race. It was a battle between racers. Sister Yin? Suddenly, Pei Yutong appeared behind Lin Yin and placed his right arm on her left shoulder. Almost instinctively, Lin Yin grabbed his arm. Chapter 163. Lin Yen snapped back to her senses and let go of him. She stared at him, who was perspiring profusely, speechless. Was this kid trying to scare a ghost by sneaking up behind someone's back? Sister Yen, what do you mean? What grudge do you have against me? Why would you want to kill me? Did you grow up eating spinach? How could you be so strong? Pei Yutong swung his arm gently. Lin Yen had almost broken it. Lin Yen was speechless. This kid had run behind her and placed his hand on her shoulder. How dare he blame her? If I had killed you, your arm would have been gone. Lin Yen grinned at Pei Yutong. Sister Yen, you might be strong, but you don't have to brag. Is my arm made of plastic? How could it be gone just like that? Pei Yutong looked indignant. Sister Yen, I'm telling you. If it had been someone else, I would have retaliated. If I had retaliated, I would have either died or been seriously injured. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong. Why was he acting so tough now? Hadn't he been wailing and whining about how his arm was going to be broken? Lin Yen was about to say something when Pei Yutong's eyes darted to the road below. His eyes gleamed coldly. Why is that dog here so early? Pei Yutong snorted coldly. Lin Yen followed Pei Yutong's gaze and scanned the road below. It was none other than Pei Yutong's nemesis, Song Yaonan, and the others. Song Yaonan and his team were smiling as they chatted with a group of foreign racers in blue uniforms. There was a cheetah pattern on the back of the blue uniform. The blue uniform seemed familiar to Lin Yen. She felt as though she had seen it somewhere before. Before Lin Yen could ponder, Pei Yutong tapped her cautiously with his finger. What's wrong? Lin Yen turned to Pei Yutong immediately. Pei Yutong took a few steps back when Lin Yen turned around. Sister Yen, what are you thinking about? You ignored me. Pei Yutong heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Yan's natural reaction had traumatized Pei Yutong. He was afraid that if he wasn't careful, Lin Yen would hurt his poor arm again. Nothing. I was just looking at Song Yaonan's team. Lin Yen grinned. Sister Yen, I don't understand either. What is Song Yaonan up to? Did he hire a foreign team? Pei Yutong stepped forward when he realized that there was no danger. Lin Yen glanced at the team members. Wasn't it obvious enough? They were all foreign racers. Sister Yen, do you know that lousy team? I don't believe that Song Yaonan would be able to hire such an impressive racer. We have ZH1, the best racers in the country, and we have God Z. Pei Yutong was indignant. I think so. Lin Yen fell into deep thought. Before Lin Yen could finish, Pei Yutong shook his head and quipped. Sister Yen, although you're good at racing, you've never learned about the local teams. You don't even know about ZH1 and God Z. How could you know about other teams? Lin Yen was speechless. She really knew. They wore blue racing uniforms with a leopard running at top speed on their backs. They were from a foreign racing team called Speed, which translates to speech. Chapter 164. At that time, Lin Yan's apprentice had coincidentally met the captain of Speed. Lin Yan could still remember how arrogant the captain had been. He had insulted her apprentice in all sorts of ways. In the end, her apprentice had personally sent Speed's captain off the track. What was worth mentioning was that Lin Yan's apprentice had overtaken Speed's captain at the start of the race. He had even waited for Speed's captain for 2.5 minutes. Lin Yan's apprentice had become famous after that race. He had become the champion of the second level of the international competition and had become one of the most popular racers in the second level. His popularity had skyrocketed. Even so, the Speed team couldn't be underestimated. They had made it to the quarterfinals of the second level of the international competition. The ZH1 team that Pei Yutong had invited was nothing compared to the Speed team. They weren't on the same level at all. Speed had made it to the top 8 of the second level of the international competition. ZH1 had made it to the top 16 of the third level of the international competition. Just using data to speak, how could there be even the slightest bit of comparison? The difference between the second and third level of the international competition was like night and day. To put it simply, it was like the difference between a kindergarten student and a university student. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong quietly. Unknowingly, a hint of sympathy flitted across her eyes. Brat, I wish you luck. Sister Yen, look at Song Yaonan. He even invited a few foreign racers. He really doesn't know his place. Does he really think that those foreign racers can help him win this race? Third young master, do you have any special stakes? Lin Yen asked Pei Yutong. Of course. Pei Yutong nodded and sneered coldly. Sister Yen, the stakes are that the loser's team will be disbanded and they will have to scram from the track. Also, they will have to crawl between their opponent's legs. Lin Yen was speechless. Good luck. Why are you looking at me like that? What do you mean? Don't you believe that ZH1 is good? Pei Yutong was displeased when he noticed Lin Yan's expression. Lin Yan stared at Pei Yutong as she pondered how she should broach the topic. Was Pei Yutong brainless? He should have at least tried to find out what kind of team the other party had invited. How were they going to compete now? Even if they risked their lives, they wouldn't be able to defeat the ZH1 team. Third young master, do you think it's possible? Lin Yan eyed him intently. What possibility? Pei Yutong was puzzled. For example, surrendering and losing half of the bet? Replied Lin Yan. If I surrender, I'll lose half? Pei Yutong, who was taken aback by Lin Yan's words, sneered coldly. Sister Yan, are you kidding me? Would I be so kind as to ask Song Yanan to surrender? Losing half of it? Absolutely impossible. Lin Yan was speechless. Good luck. Sister Yan, just you wait and see. This time I will make Song Yanan pay me back with interest. How dare he bully me? He has never suffered a loss before. Pei Yutong grinned. What if I told you that Song Yanan hired Speed? Asked Lin Yan. Speed? Pei Yutong fell into deep thought. He had never heard of this team before. What team is this? I've never heard of it. Pei Yutong shook his head. Chapter 165. What? Pei Yutong, who was dumbfounded, stared at Lin Yan in disbelief. You participated in the second level of the international competition? You even made it to the quarterfinals? Are you serious, Sister Yan? Don't scare me like that. I know those racers, but I've seen their uniforms when I watched the second level of the international competition. It should be them, replied Lin Yan. Sister Yan, you gave me a fright. I thought you were familiar with them. Pei Yutong heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Lin Yan. Sister Yan, you're not familiar with the teams. Besides, most of their uniforms are similar. You must be mistaken. How could Song Yanan invite the top 8 racers of the second level of the international competition? What a joke. I can't even invite them. Lin Yan shrugged in response to Pei Yutong's words. Anyway, it was up to Pei Yutong whether he believed her or not. Oh, isn't this young Master Pei who is about to crawl out of my crotch? Song Yanan and the others strode over to the VIP seats. Song Yanan, why are you pretending to be a coward? Don't you know who is crawling under whose crotch? Pei Yutong sneered coldly. Song Yanan didn't waste any more time. He gave Pei Yutong the middle finger before his eyes landed on Lin Yan. His eyes gleamed coldly. Song Yanan would never forget the humiliation that this woman had brought him. As a woman, she had defeated him in a race. Song Yanan didn't care about losing the engine. However, he had to regain his dignity. What? Do you want to participate in this competition? Song Yanan eyed Lin Yan with a grin. I'm just here to watch the competition, replied Lin Yan. Watch the competition. How can that be? You beat me last time, so I want to give you another chance. Do you dare to bet with me? Song Yanan quipped. I'm not interested, replied Lin Yan nonchalantly. Pei Yutong, this girl you brought is just like you. She's a coward. Song Yanan glanced at Pei Yutong. F***C. Who are you talking about? Pei Yutong's eyes widened in anger as he rolled up his sleeves. Before Pei Yutong could respond, Lin Yan frowned and pushed him behind her. Her eyes landed on Song Yanan. Lin Yan glared at Song Yanan and replied coldly, I'm a loyal person. Oh, and then? Song Yanan asked curiously. You can criticize him, but I can't, replied Lin Yan. Pei Yutong was touched by Lin Yan's words. He nodded repeatedly and said, Well said. You can call me a coward, but to say that she, before he could finish, Pei Yutong was taken aback. He turned to Lin Yan in astonishment. How could this be? Was this what she meant by loyalty? Song Yanan, what do you want to bet? How do you want to bet? Asked Lin Yan. Let's bet on this competition. The outcome of the competition has nothing to do with our bet. As long as you can beat any of the contestants behind me, you will win. If you lose? Song Yanan's gaze landed on Pei Yutong as though he was taunting him. You will have to sleep with me for one night. Song Yanan had always assumed that Lin Yan was Pei Yutong's lover. Hence, he had said this to humiliate Pei Yutong. Chapter 166. Pei Yutong and the other young men and women around Song Yanan looked perplexed. Even the members of Speed frowned. Lin Yan strode over to Pei Yutong and patted his shoulder gently. Thank you for your hard work. **CK. Song Yanan, are you out of your mind? Get lost. Don't come near me. Pei Yutong pointed at Song Yanan and cursed. Song Yanan hadn't realized what was going on at first. However, when he saw the expressions on everyone's faces, he finally understood. He had said that he would spend the night with Lin Yan, not Pei Yutong. He had stared at Pei Yutong and said that to provoke him. Wasn't Lin Yan Pei Yutong's lover? Were these people brainless? Couldn't they understand what was going on? Pei Yutong, I'm talking about your lover. I'm not talking about you, Song Yaonan quipped. You want her to spend the night with you? Pei Yutong's eyes trailed to Lin Yan and he shuddered. No way. If he lost, his big brother would tear him and Song Yaonan to pieces. He would tear them to pieces. He wasn't joking. *T. Do you think you're worthy? Pei Yutong pointed at Song Yaonan's nose and yelled, Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? What? Are you afraid? Are you a coward again? It's fine if you don't dare to bet. Just admit that you're a coward. Song Yaonan sneered coldly. You. Pei Yutong's face was flushed with anger. Before he could retort, Lin Yan stepped forward and grinned. All right, I accept your bet. No. Don't be rash. Pei Yutong gasped when he heard Lin Yan agree to Song Yaonan's bet. This wasn't a joke. Song Yaonan and his men were like bullies. What wouldn't they do? If Lin Yan lost, Big Brother would be alerted. Then, everyone would be in deep trouble. Pei Yutong, what has this got to do with you? This is a bet between me and her, understand? Song Yaonan glanced at Pei Yutong. You haven't told me what will happen if you lose. Lin Yan eyed Song Yaonan intently. If I lose, I'll do whatever you say. Song Yaonan chuckled. If I win, I want 2 engines this time, replied Lin Yan. Song Yaonan, Pei Yutong. Song Yaonan smirked as he looked at the girl beside him. Did she really think that they could win again? And you want 2 engines? Sure. 2 engines. If you win, you can choose whichever engine you want, Song Yaonan said. Deal. Lin Yan nodded. Pei Yutong dragged Lin Yan to a corner. Sister, big sister-in-law. Daddy. Don't mess with me. If Big Brother finds out, he will blame it on me. He will kill me. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. If he hadn't forced her to come, this wouldn't have happened. Don't worry. It has nothing to do with you. Besides, your big brother won't know, replied Lin Yan. He won't know? Are you kidding me? Sister Yin, even if Song Yaonan's team can't beat Zich1, defeating you will be a piece of cake. Pei Yutong was panicking. What are you afraid of? Calm down. I have a plan, replied Lin Yan. Sister Yin, you have to take it easy. You can run away when we race later. I'll handle the rest. Pei Yutong quipped. All right, I got it. Lin Yan waved at Pei Yutong. P.S. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 years had passed since I had typed the first word. Many of the babies had gotten to know me when I wrote, I wish you a bright radiance. Many of them had been with me since earlier. Second, embarrassment didn't have any hobbies other than stroking her cat. All she loved was writing. She loved writing with all of you. The happiest thing was that you liked and approved of the plot that I had put so much effort into writing. There were many times when I almost couldn't hold on. However, because of your support and encouragement, I managed to pull through the most difficult times. I'm grateful to all of you for being by my side all this time. You've allowed me to persevere until today. Now, I'd like to bow to all of my cute babies. Thank you. You're the sweetest and the warmest. I've already informed everyone that this book will be published on the 25th of this weekend. There will be a new chapter on the 25th at around midnight. To thank the babies for their support, there will be a huge wave of activities when the book is published. Activity 1, post a post on QQ Reading Group about the most memorable plot or lines in the novel. If you get more than 100 likes, you will receive a custom-made keychain. It's limited to the first 50 readers. If you get more likes, you will receive another prize. Group 439909781. The event will last from August 25th to August 31st PS. There are many types of keychains including One Day You Will Like Me, I Wish You a Bright Radiance, Just Like the Cold Light Meets the Blazing Sun, and I'll Have You for the Rest of My Life, Sweet and Warm. You can choose any one of them. You can only win once in this activity, but you can win multiple times with other activities. Activity 2, the top 200 readers on the QQ Reading Group's most active list this month will receive exquisite peripherals of different grades. 1 to 10, full set of peripherals, notebook plus pillow plus keychain plus autograph book, 11-5, notebook plus pillow plus keychain 51-100, notebook plus keychain 101-150, notebook 151-200, keychain, choose one. P.S. Screenshots of all your subscriptions must be provided when you receive the prize. This activity can win multiple times with other activities. The event ends on August 31st. Activity 3, on the day of publication, which is the early morning of the 25th, the third wave of building activities on QQ Reading Group will begin. There will be lots of rewards waiting for you. Chapter 167. It was almost time for the competition, so the staff were busy preparing. All the cars had been placed at the start of the racetrack. ZH1's members had arrived at the venue. ZH1's Mumu was taken aback when he saw Song Yaonan's team in the distance. "Captain, look!" Mumu exclaimed hastily. God Z instinctively glanced at the venue. When he saw Sep's team, he sprang to his feet. "Air Commander's team? Speed?" God Z was shocked. "Pei Yutong, what are you doing?" God Z glared at Pei Yutong. "Don't you know who they are?" Pei Yutong was dumbfounded as well. Was what Lin Yan had said true? Song Yaonan had really invited Speed to the second level of the international competition and had made it to the quarterfinals? Pei Yutong had promised ZH1 that they would definitely win this competition, so they wouldn't have to worry about Song Yaonan. However, ZH1 was competing against Speed. ZH1 was the top team in the country and they hadn't lost in 2 years. Although this wasn't an official competition, they couldn't afford to lose. However, they couldn't be compared to Speed at all. That Ned Pei Yutong. How could he not know about their team? However, Pei Yutong couldn't be blamed entirely. They had been careless and had believed Pei Yutong's words without any investigation. Pei Yutong was at a loss for words. Pei Yutong had thought that he would be able to defeat Song Yaonan by inviting ZH1. Who would have thought that Song Yaonan would be so capable? He had even managed to invite Speed, a team that had made it to the quarterfinals of the second level of the international competition. We are doomed. All the ZH1 members looked ashen. Their best record had been the top 16 of the third level of the international competition. Speed, on the other hand, had made it to the quarterfinals of the second level of the international competition. How could they be compared to Speed? Speed's captain, nicknamed Air Force, was a racer who had raced with Lang Mang before. Lang Mang? He had won several championships on the second-best track in the world. He was also one of the disciples of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, Yeva. No one had ever seen the racetrack's Grim Reaper, Yeva. She had been the champion of the international competition many times in a row, and she was the undisputed champion. She had even surpassed the first level and reached the pinnacle of the racetrack. Her nickname as the racetrack's Grim Reaper wasn't just for show. Ever since she had debuted in the second level, she had dominated the first and second level of the global competition. Many legendary racers had been killed by her. Speed's captain, Air Commander, was a racer who had competed with Yava's disciple. He had already lost before the race had even begun. *Minute. Who the hell is Song Yaonan? He even called the Air Force team over. One of the ZH1 members gritted his teeth. They were bound to lose today. Who is Air Commander? Pei Yutong asked cautiously. Air Commander is the captain of Speed. He competed with Lang Mang, the disciple of the racetrack's Grim Reaper, in the second level of the international competition, Mumu explained. Chapter 168. Stop spouting nonsense. God Z frowned. If you had investigated the situation earlier, we wouldn't be in such a passive position. Pei Yutong, I'm telling you that we won't win this race. Pei Yutong, you've really done us in. One of the ZH1 racers hissed angrily. No one would participate in a race that they were bound to lose, especially when there was such a huge gap between their levels. What should we do then? Don't be a coward. Pei Yutong broke out in a cold sweat. This was a life-and-death battle between him and Song Yaonan, and he couldn't afford to lose. Whoever lost would not only have to disband his own team, but he would also have to crawl between the opponent's legs. If he really lost this competition, he might as well just die on the spot. If Air Commander isn't here, perhaps we won't lose so badly, God Z muttered solemnly. Air Commander was the core of Speed, but they hadn't seen him around. Perhaps they still had a chance. After all, Air Commander had single-handedly dragged Speed into the second level of the international competition. Not all of Speed's racers had been involved. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yutong. She had tried to persuade him to surrender, but he hadn't been willing to do so. This kid was too overconfident. Soon it was time for the race. Both teams strode towards the center of the track. Pei Yutong, let's see how you die this time. Song Yaonan sneered coldly at Pei Yutong as he stroked his neck. Pei Yutong felt a little guilty, but he remained stubborn. Why are you so arrogant? We don't know who will win yet. In that case, let's wait and see, Song Yaonan quipped. Very quickly, a well-built and good-looking speed racer said in a slightly dissatisfied tone, "How could I compete with a woman in this race? How boring." The speed racer glanced at Lin Yen coldly. "You will have the right to brag in the future." Lin Yen grinned at him. "I hope that you will go easy on me. Don't make me lose too badly." No, no, no. I will show you how dangerous the track is." "Oh yeah. Do you know how to race? Do you know where the accelerator, clutch, and brake are?" the speed racer quipped. The speed racers chuckled when they heard him. Lin Yen shrugged and didn't continue the conversation. After the preparations were done, the competition officially began. The rule of the competition was a multiplayer match. The winner would be determined by combining the rankings of the two teams. As the signal flag was waved, the ZH1 and Speed members dashed forward in their cars. The sound of the cars was deafening. The ZH1 members' cars were orange while the Speed members' cars were blue. The two colors, red and blue, intertwined on the track. The battle between the racers could break out at any moment. Lin Yen scanned the racing track and glanced at the anxious Pei Yutong. "ZH1 has lost." "Ah?" Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yen looking dumbfounded. "Sister Yen, can't you have some hope for me? If I really lose the competition, I would rather die." Lin Yen felt a little helpless. She had merely glanced at them and realized that ZH1 and Speed weren't on the same level. She had merely spoken the truth. "Third young master, I think you should be mentally prepared." Lin Yen glanced at him helplessly. Chapter 169. Lin Yen scanned her surroundings. Only one member of Speed was lagging behind Godzi. The other members were all ahead. If ZH1 could overtake the rest of the Speed members, they would be able to win. However, that wasn't realistic. After all, there was a huge gap between them. Actually, Pei Yutong didn't need Lin Yen to explain the situation to him. He knew what was going on. "Sister Yen, ZH1 is going to lose if this goes on. Isn't that the end for me? Is there any way to salvage the situation?" Pei Yutong asked anxiously. "I don't think so." Lin Yen shook her head. "Do you really want me to disband the team and crawl under Song Yanan's crotch? No, I can't do that. If my big brother finds out, he will beat me to death. He will never let me race again." Pei Yutong's face was drained of color, and beads of perspiration had formed on his forehead. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong strangely. Was this kid afraid that he would disband the team and crawl under Song Yanan's crotch? Or was he afraid that his big brother would beat him to death? Before Lin Yen could say anything else, the crowd gasped in surprise. Lin Yen and Pei Yutong turned to look at one of the Speed members who had crossed the finish line. He had removed his helmet and was waving his hands in all directions. *Sike. A member of Speed has crossed the finish line? What the hell? Pei Yutong gritted his teeth. As soon as Pei Yutong finished speaking, another member of the Speed team crossed the finish line at lightning speed. Pei Yutong's face was ashen as he watched the second member of Speed cross the finish line. This meant that the race was over. Based on the number of participants, even if all of ZH1's members crossed the finish line before the rest of Speed's members, they would still lose. ZH1's God Z had crossed the finish line, but it was meaningless to Pei Yutong. He had been defeated by Song Yaonan. "I want to die. Just let me die," Pei Yutong muttered in a daze. Lin Yen tugged at Pei Yutong's arm. "Sister Yen, don't stop me. Let me die. My big brother will definitely find out about this. He will definitely beat me to death." Pei Yutong whined. "All right then." Lin Yen released her grip. Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yen in shock. "Sister Yen, how can you be so cruel? Are you really going to stand by and watch as I walk towards destruction?" Lin Yen was speechless. Hadn't he asked her to let go? "Sister Yen, you have to save me this time." Pei Yutong sobbed. "Only you can persuade Big Brother. So you don't mind disbanding the team and crawling under Song Yaonan?" Lin Yen eyed him curiously. She really hadn't realized that Pei Yutong was a man of his word. He was a man of his word and he was willing to admit defeat. Lin Yen had underestimated him. "That's right. No way. I would rather die than crawl under Song Yanan's crotch." Pei Yutong suddenly recalled his bet. Lin Yen was speechless. Chapter 170. After the competition ended, the ZH1 team members returned to Pei Yutong's side and stared at him with unfriendly expressions. If Pei Yutong had done his homework, they wouldn't have competed with Speed. Before the ZH1 members could speak, Song Yaonan led the Speed members over. Pei Yutong clenched his fists tightly. He wanted to bite Song Yaonan to death. "Young Master Pei Yutong, what's wrong? You look like a dog that has lost its home. It makes my heart ache to see you like this. Song Yaonan sneered coldly at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong glared at Song Yaonan as the corners of his mouth twitched. He seemed to want to say something, but no words came out of his mouth. After all, the winner was the king and the loser was the thief. He had already lost this competition, so there was no point in saying anything else. It would only make others mock him even more. When Pei Yutong remained silent, a young man behind Song Yaonan said coldly, Pei Yutong, you haven't forgotten about the bet with Brother Song, have you? What are you waiting for? Are you ready? If you are, crawl under Brother Song's pants. You. Pei Yutong gritted his teeth as his face turned red. Although he had always been suppressed by Song Yaonan, this bet was too big. He wouldn't be able to make a comeback this time. Haha. Pei Yutong, what do you think? Should I give you some time to prepare? Don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. You can prepare first. I'll wait for you. Song Yaonan strode forward in front of everyone. Pei Yutong glared at Song Yaonan, veins popping on his forehead. Pei Yutong had set the bet himself. Now that he had lost to Song Yaonan, he could only blame himself for his carelessness. He had failed to understand Song Yaonan thoroughly. When Pei Yutong remained unmoved, the young man beside Song Yaonan sneered coldly. Young Master Pei Yutong, are you trying to renege on your debt? Are you trying to say that you can't afford to gamble? Bullsh**t. When did I ever renege on a bet? Pei Yutong's face darkened as he gritted his teeth. Come on then. I've never been a sore loser. Yeah, what are you waiting for? The young man said. In front of everyone, Pei Yutong bowed slightly. Before Pei Yutong could make a move, Lin Yan pulled him back. Sister Yan? Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yan in confusion. Why are you in such a hurry? Our bet isn't over yet. Even if you want to fulfill your promise, you have to wait until the bet is over. Oh? Song Yaonan's eyes roamed over to Lin Yan. He studied her intently and grinned. Last why? Do you feel sorry for me? We still have a bet between us. It's better if you feel sorry for yourself first. Lin Yan glanced at Song Yaonan expressionlessly. I'm talking about our bet. The competition between ZH1 and Speed hasn't ended yet. Why? Are you trying to renege on your debt? The young man beside Song Yaonan shouted coldly. Don't be hasty. Lin Yan quipped. Song Yaonan, you were the one who said that our bet would be included in this race. You didn't say that we would have another bet after the competition between ZH1 and Speed. So what? Song Yaonan quipped. Lin Yan grinned. Based on our bet, I can be considered a member of ZH1. Am I right? Song Yaonan didn't retort. This woman was playing word games with him. He wanted to see what she was up to. You can think of it that way, replied Song Yaonan. In that case, according to the rules, I'm the last member of ZH1. Hence, all members of Speed have to race. If anyone reaches the finish line before me, we will lose this race, Lin Yan explained. The ZH1 members couldn't help but burst into laughter when they heard Lin Yan. Was this woman serious when she said those words? There was nothing wrong with the rules. However, there was a prerequisite. If Lin Yan wanted to turn the tables, she would have to beat the entire Speed team. If any member of Speed took the lead, ZH1 would lose the race. Chapter 171. You can't even be considered an amateur racer. Do you think you can beat Speed? One of the ZH1 members frowned at Lin Yan, his eyes filled with disgust. What was this? Was she trying to impress the crowd? What kind of joke was this? Are you even fit to compete with us? One of the Speed members eyed Lin Yan coldly. Lin Yan chuckled softly as she eyed Song Yaonan. Why? Are you afraid? In that case, ZH1 and Speed will be considered a draw. Everyone will go home and no one will suffer any losses. What do you think? To put it bluntly, Lin Yan didn't want to get involved in this mess. It would be best if she didn't have to compete. Lass, you're really cute. Song Yaonan gazed at Lin Yan, his lips curling into a smile. Sure, it's fine if you want to waste time. Competing with Speed is enough for you to brag for the rest of your life. Anyway, you're mine tonight, so I shall fulfill your wish. However, you have to put in more effort when you're with me. Otherwise, I won't let you down. Song Yaonan turned to the Speed members. According to our agreement, she's right. Sorry to trouble you. It will only take a few minutes. Alright then. The Speed members reluctantly agreed to Song Yaonan's request. Not only are the racers and teams in the country low class, but even a racing enthusiast is shameless. TSK. The racing industry in the country is really low class. One of the Speed members sneered coldly as he strode back to his car. Do you have an extra uniform? Lin Yen asked God Yen. Sister Yen, why are you still wearing the uniform? Let's go. I'll go with you. Pei Yutong gave Lin Yen a thumbs up discreetly. Pei Yutong assumed that Lin Yen was trying to trick Song Yaonan and the others so that they would let their guard down. Once Lin Yen got into the car, she would dash out of the racetrack with him. Are you even fit to wear ZH1's uniform? One of the ZH1 members hissed coldly. Don't say that. Mumu shook his head at him. Mumu, get her a uniform and a helmet, God Yen instructed. Mumu ran to the logistics room and handed a small uniform to Lin Yen. Lin Yen put on her uniform casually and took the helmet from him. Use my previous car. It has the best performance. God Yen told Lin Yen, don't force yourself. Otherwise you will die. Thanks. Lin Yen waved her hand and strode towards the track. Sister Yen, wait for me. Pei Yutong hurriedly chased after her. At that moment, all the speed members had boarded their cars and were ready to go. Lin Yen, on the other hand, was sifting through ZH1's car. Sister Yen, find a car. It's time for us to leave. Pei Yutong whispered to her. Cut the crap, snapped Lin Yen. Pei Yutong, this is it? Lin Yen got into Mumu's car. The ZH1 team members outside the track frowned. Oh, there's no problem with that woman's brain, right? The performance of Mumu's racing car is ordinary. The main problem is the tires, the grip is not good, and the rear end is easy to drift. Why? Do you really expect her to race against speed? One of the team members sneered. Any car would be the same to her. Chapter 172. After Lin Yen chose her car, she opened the door and got into the driver's seat. Then Pei Yutong got in as well. What are you doing? Lin Yen stared at Pei Yutong, who looked confused. Pei Yutong fastened his seatbelt and replied, Of course we're running. Sister Yen, didn't you say you wanted to take me with you? Pei Yutong was even more confused than Lin Yen. Judging by her expression, she didn't seem willing to let him get in the car. Did she not intend to take him with her? Lin Yen sighed heavily. How could this kid be so good at adding drama to the drama? When had she ever said that she wanted to take Pei Yutong with her? She hadn't mentioned it at all. Could his imagination run wild? Get off. Lin Yen glared at Pei Yutong and waved her hands. I'm not getting off. Pei Yutong shook his head frantically. Sister Yen, you can't do this. We have to run together. Are you getting off or not? The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched as she stared at Pei Yutong. I'm not getting off. I won't get off even if I die. Pei Yutong sounded resolute. All right, you said it. Don't beg me when the time comes. Lin Yen shrugged. She had tried her best to persuade this kid to get off the car, but he was the one who refused to get off. She couldn't blame him then. Even professional navigators who had undergone special training wouldn't dare get in her car. Lin Yen ignored Pei Yutong and stepped on the clutch. She glanced at the accelerator and brakes. A second later, the signal flag was waved. As the signal flag was waved, the speed team's cars emitted a pleasant roar. In the blink of an eye, a few cars driven by the speed members left the starting point and disappeared without a trace. Lin Yen was still stepping on the clutch as she wiped the dust off the steering wheel. Sister Yen, what are you doing? Are we running or not? Pei Yutong stared at Lin Yen in confusion. Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't lost yet. It won't be too late to run after we lose the competition. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong was taken aback when he heard Lin Yen. He mulled over her words and realized that she did make sense. She hadn't lost yet. Why would he run if he hadn't lost? He would run after Lin Yen lost. He would piss off that bastard Song Yaonan. Sister Yen, even if you want to compete, why don't you take the train? You won't even be able to breathe in the exhaust fumes of the speed team. Pei Yutong exclaimed anxiously. Lin Yen didn't reply. She merely tossed her phone to him. Instinctively, Pei Yutong took Lin Yan's phone, looking perplexed. What did she mean? Sister Yen, I have a phone. I don't need it. Pei Yutong glanced at Lin Yen. You wish. Lin Yen replied impatiently, pick a song for me. It has to be explosive and exciting. Otherwise, I won't feel anything at all. She couldn't bring herself to compete against a team of Speed's caliber. Meanwhile, outside the track, the ZH1 team members stared at the orange car, which had yet to start. They shook their heads. What the hell are we doing? Why are we making that ignorant woman wear our F1 uniform and drive our car? One of the F1 team members sneered disdainfully as he stared at the orange car. Chapter 173. What? Do you really think that woman will be able to compete with the SP team? It's best that she doesn't start in case something happens to her on the track. She might even lose her life. Another team member chuckled. It's best if she stays there and waits for the SP team to finish. Let's just take it as a formality. We will leave later. We are unlucky this time. At the same time in the car, Pei Yutong was speechless. Was she really here to compete? Pei Yutong bowed his head and typed in a few letters. About 4 seconds later, the phone rang. Not bad. What song is it? Are from NRNS, Pei Yutong replied instinctively. Sister Yin, why aren't you moving? I'm almost done with the race. Pei Yutong was dumbfounded when he saw Lin Yan listening to the music with her eyes closed. Don't be anxious. The chorus is coming. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth curled into a mysterious smile as she stepped on the brakes and accelerator. Only you haven't given up yet when everyone else has stopped trying, when all hope has been worn away by setbacks. Where I am, everything has a cause and effect, and nothing comes easy. So tell me, will the stars align? Will the hand of God intervene to alter the laws of the universe and deliver us from the sins we have committed? I have no scruples because the country I've built will stand for eternity. Almost as soon as the chorus played, the ear-piercing roar of the car reverberated throughout the stadium. F***CK. Sister Yin, what are you doing? Pei Yutong grabbed his seatbelt hastily. If you don't release the brakes, the rear tires will heat up. It will be too dangerous if we rush out. However, Lin Yan acted as though she hadn't heard Pei Yutong. She straightened her body and the smile on her face vanished without a trace. Lie down, Lin Yan said. Huh. Pei Yutong was startled. Before Pei Yutong could snap back to his senses, Lin Yan pushed the back of his seat and made him lie down instantly. Lin Yan retrieved a plastic bag from the car and threw it at Pei Yutong. Pei Yutong held the plastic bag as he stared at Lin Yan in shock. What was she doing? After a few seconds, the rhythm of the music reached its climax. At that moment, Lin Yan finally let go of the brakes. Swoosh. The orange-red racing car was like an afterimage as it flew out in an instant. As Lin Yan had been stepping on the brakes, the rear wheels of the car had lost their grip on the ground. The rear of the car tilted at a beautiful angle, reducing air resistance instantly. Wow. Pei Yutong vomited instantly. Fortunately, he still had the plastic bag that Lin Yan had thrown at him. Ah! Pei Yutong's face was as white as a sheet. This was more unbearable than a roller coaster ride. He felt as though he had been thrown out of the car. Sister Yan? Pei Yutong shuddered as he stared at Lin Yan in horror. What was she doing here? Was she going to kill herself with him? However, Lin Yan seemed to have been cut off from the rest of the world. All she could see was the racetrack. I want to get out of the car. I'm going to crawl between Song Yanan's legs. I'm going to die. I was wrong. Pei Yutong almost fainted from the strong force of the car and the impact of the speed. Chapter 174. Whoosh. As Pei Yutong spoke, the orange-red car reached its maximum speed. Even the car was shaking violently and the rear wheels were slipping. The car was like a python that swam swiftly in Lin Yan's hands. Meanwhile, outside the track, the ZH1 team members sprang to their feet as they stared at the orange car that was approaching speed. Their eyes were filled with indescribable shock. That woman is crazy. She has a death wish. One of the ZH1 team members exclaimed anxiously. This speed had already reached a crazy level. Mumu's racing car didn't have a strong grip on the ground to begin with, and with the woman constantly stepping on the brakes and accelerator, the rear wheels had already heated up, causing their grip to weaken. If they made any mistakes, it would be impossible for them to survive at such a speed. The car would be destroyed and the people would die. God's face darkened as he stared at Lin Yan's car. What was that woman doing? Was she racing or courting death? She has completely abandoned the brakes. Mumu frowned deeply. Without the brakes, she really didn't know anything about racing. Otherwise, how could she have dared to control the car like that? She's going to die, exclaimed one of the ZH1 team members. Oh no. God's face was solemn. There were 3 corners ahead of them, and without the brakes, they were afraid that something bad would happen. However, given the current circumstances, who could stop that car? No one could. Now, there was nothing that could stop that racing car. Describing it as a runaway wild horse wasn't enough to describe it. Song Yaonan was dumbfounded as well. Even if she couldn't win, she shouldn't be courting death. We're almost at the corner. Mumu yelled anxiously. The speed team members were the first to reach the corner. Every car driven by the speed team would activate the brakes when they reached the corner. They would then use the brakes and the speed of the car to tilt and drift. The speed team had just finished drifting when Lin Yan's car caught up to them. Based on Lin Yan's speed, it would take her at most 10 seconds to reach the curve. Pei Yutong was gradually getting used to it. He no longer felt as nauseous as before. When Pei Yutong saw the bend in front of him, he yelled anxiously, "Sister Yen, hurry! It's a bend. Slow down. *CK." However, Pei Yutong realized that Lin Yen didn't care about him at all. She continued to do whatever she wanted, as though she was immersed in her own world. Her face was expressionless and her eyes were cold and distant. Pei Yutong's face turned ashen when he saw that they were about to reach a bend. Swish. Lin Yen turned the steering wheel. The orange-red racing car glided along the curve of the road. Lin Yen used the same maneuver to complete the next 2 turns. Originally, these 3 bends needed to be stopped 3 times in between, so they had to go through them in 3 different ways. However, when it came to Lin Yen, her movements were as smooth as flowing water. It was as though she had passed 3 fatal turns in a row. Visually, she didn't seem to have stopped at all. Chapter 175. The ZH-1 members watched the scene unfold before them. One of the ZH-1 team members rubbed his eyes and stared blankly at the orange-red racing car that had already passed the 3rd bend. Instead of slowing down, it was speeding up. How is that possible? 3 turns in one go. She didn't rely on the braking system. She must be lying. What kind of maneuver is that? Mumu's jaw dropped in disbelief. Is that even possible? God rose to his feet, his eyes filled with shock. He had never seen such maneuvers before. Not even once. On the track, one of the speed members heard a deafening roar behind him and instinctively glanced at the rearview mirror. *CK. With just one look, the speed member's expression changed drastically. Through the rearview mirror, he could see that Lin Yan's car was racing like a wild beast on a grassland as it sped towards them. What is she doing? The speed member cursed as he hurriedly tried to shake Lin Yan off. Before he could do anything, an orange-red light flashed and Lin Yan's car disappeared into the distance. All that was left was a plume of exhaust in the air. Then Lin Yan's car overtook the second speed member's car. *CK. What the *CK? Pei Yutong, who was dumbfounded, stared at Lin Yan. What the hell was going on? Pei Yutong couldn't describe what he was feeling right now. What had he just seen? Daddy, how did you do that? What kind of maneuver was that? Pei Yutong asked Lin Yan in shock. However, Lin Yan continued to ignore him. Daddy, say something. Pei Yutong was unwilling to give up when Lin Yan ignored him. Shut up. Lin Yan finally snapped impatiently. Okay. Pei Yutong nodded furiously. Lin Yan sped past the 3rd speed car. She's catching up? One of the speed team members was taken aback. However, he didn't think too much about it. He sped up and used his car to block Lin Yan's orange car. As long as they could stop Lin Yan and allow their teammates to reach the finish line, they would win. As long as any of the speed members were in front of Lin Yan, she would definitely lose. You want to play this game with me? Lin Yan sneered coldly when she noticed that the car was moving in the same direction as her. Then she dashed towards the back of the car. No. Sister Yen, Daddy, who do you want to die with? Pei Yutong panicked. At this speed, none of them would survive, including the speed member in front of them. Lunatic. Mother *her. This lunatic. As Lin Yan's orange car sped toward them, the speed team members' faces fell as they cursed loudly. When that woman did this, he didn't even have the time to give way. His mind went blank as the orange car was about to collide with him. All he could do was step on the accelerator and widen the gap between him and Lin Yan. However, the orange car was too fast and seemed to be out of control. He couldn't widen the gap between him and Lin Yan. Chapter 176. Whoosh. Just as the orange racing car was about to collide with the speed team's car, the front of the racing car suddenly swerved to the left like a snake. The front of the racing car was pulled to the limit. A second later, the orange car overtook the speed racer's car and swerved to the right without any hesitation. The car brushed past the speed racer's car as Lin Yan overtook it. After Lin Yan overtook them, the speed driver slowed down and stopped at the rightmost lane. The speed team member pushed the car door open and got out. He shouted angrily, "Are you trying to kill me?" However, the orange car was nowhere to be seen. There was only the pungent smell of exhaust gas in the air. Outside the track, all the ZH-1 members, including God, were rooted to the spot. Perhaps the speed racer hadn't been able to see how Lin Yan's orange car had overtaken them. However, they had seen everything clearly. The word breathtaking wasn't enough to describe the moment when Lin Yan had overtaken him. No one would have dared to do that on this track. Furthermore, while it looked like he was gambling with his life, every single detail was flawless. It was impossible for any mishaps to occur. How was she driving? She had become one with her car. The moment she overtook the other car, the orange-red car had become a part of her. Other than breathtakingly perfect, there was no other way to describe it. There was only one speed racer left on the track. The orange-red racing car had already caught up to them. What is that? The last speed racer had no idea what had happened. All he saw was a flash of red light, and Lin Yan had overtaken him. The last remaining speed racer was dumbfounded when he saw the orange-red racing car cross the finish line in an instant and make use of its inertia to stop the car. Are you kidding me? The last speed racer had reached the finish line after Lin Yan. He stopped his car and stared at the orange car in disbelief. At this moment, the wheels of the orange racing car were still steaming. ZH1's team members were still in a daze. What do you mean? One of them asked in a trembling voice as he gazed at the orange car. We won? We won. We really won. We actually beat Speed. How could this happen? Who is that woman? How could she be just a racing enthusiast? This woman's racing style is similar to Lang Mang's. Could she be related to Lang Mang? Lang Mang has a few mysterious disciples. Could she be one of them? Lin Yan opened the door and got out of the car. Lin Yan glanced at the wheel, which was still smoking, and grinned. It's so. F***CK. Sister Yan Daddy. How did you do that? How did you do that? Pei Yutong kicked the door open and rushed to Lin Yan. Lin Yan glanced at his pale face and decided not to waste her breath. Even if she explained everything to him, it would be useless. This wasn't something that could be learned easily. If an ordinary person were to try this, they would die if they weren't careful. Chapter 177. The Speed team members glanced at each other before turning to Lin Yan. They were at a loss for words. Don't be so arrogant. The competition isn't over yet. One of the Speed team members bellowed, Our Captain Air Commander will be here soon. Lin Yan glanced at the other Speed team members. Oh. Before the Speed team member could respond, ZH1 and Song Yaonan ran over. Hey, isn't this young Master Song? Why do you look like a stray dog? How pitiful. Pei Yutong sneered coldly when he saw Song Yaonan. Song Yaonan glanced at Lin Yan and Pei Yutong gloomily. Calm down. Captain Air Commander will be here soon. We haven't finished the competition yet. Air Commander Lin Yan fell into deep thought. Speed's captain had met her disciple, Lang Mang, during the second level of the international competition. They had competed together, but Lang Mang had crushed him. However, Air Commander's control of the racetrack was much better than the Speed team members. They weren't on the same level. After all, Speed's captain had single-handedly dragged them into the second level of the international competition. However, to Lin Yan, competing with Air Commander was no different from competing with Speed's members. She wasn't interested at all. Air Commander is here too? God of Thunder glanced at one of the Speed team members with a frown. They hadn't seen Air Commander earlier, so they had assumed that he wouldn't show up. However, the Speed team member had said that he would be here soon. Why? Are you afraid? Song Yaonan sneered coldly. I thought that Air Commander wouldn't have to compete, but it seems like he has to. ZH1's team members' hearts sank when they heard Song Yaonan. Speed's core member was Air Commander. If Air Commander competed, how could Lin Yan compete? But we have already finished the competition. Air Commander isn't here, so we can't be blamed, one of the ZH1 team members said to Song Yaonan. According to your logic, the race was already over, so why can this woman continue to compete on the track? That's the rule, the Speed team member retorted. Let's wait for your captain then, Lin Yan replied nonchalantly. Lin Yan replied nonchalantly and waved her hand dismissively. Go and get some rest. Call me when your commander arrives. Lin Yan didn't turn back as she strode to the arena. ZH1's members hurried after Lin Yan. Sister Yan, wait for me. Pei Yutong had wanted to argue with Song Yaonan, but Lin Yan had already left. Hence he hurried after her. A moment later in the preparation area, Lin Yan picked up a random magazine and sat on the stool to read it with relish. ZH1's team members approached Lin Yan. That, Miss Lin? One of the ZH1 members grinned at Lin Yan. Lin Yan put down the magazine and asked curiously, What happened? Miss Lin, I think there might have been some misunderstanding between us before, Team 1 said seriously. What misunderstanding? Lin Yin glanced at them, unsure of what they were trying to say. Before this, I thought that Miss Lin was just an amateur racing enthusiast. I didn't expect Miss Lin to be so good. With Miss Lin's control of the racetrack and the level of control you have over your car, I think it wouldn't be a problem for you to join one of the top teams in the country and participate in the third level of the international competition. Chapter 178. The third level of the international competition? Meh. Lin Yin was startled. She wasn't really interested in the third level of the international competition. Yeah. God nodded and said, I watched Miss Lin's race. If you're interested in joining the team, it wouldn't be a problem. If this woman was willing to join ZH1, they would be in the top 5 when they entered the third level of the international competition. They might even be in the top 3. Sister Yen, you're amazing. Pei Yutong scurried over and gazed at Lin Yen intently. Sister Yen, join my team. I'm sure you can lead my team to the top. Your team? God glanced at Pei Yutong. Your team doesn't even qualify for the second-tier competitions in the country. If you let Miss Lin join, it will be a waste of talent. However, it will be different if Miss Lin is willing to join Team 1. Team 1 is qualified to compete in the third-tier international competition. Miss Lin just needs to train with us for a while. I am confident that Miss Lin can compete with us in the third-tier international competition. To ZH1, the third level of the international competition was considered a grand competition. If Lin Yin loved racing, she wouldn't give up on the third level of the international competition. That seems to make sense. Pei Yutong fell into deep thought. Lin Yin grinned and picked up the magazine. She wasn't interested in the third level of the international competition. She was sick of the first level, let alone the third level. Besides, she had been banned from competing. Of course, the ban wasn't the main reason. She wasn't interested. She would be like a well-trained adult beating up a child. She couldn't bring herself to do something like that. Miss Lin, was it luck that you made 3 consecutive turns and swung left and right to overtake the other car? Or, one of the ZH1 team members glanced at Lin Yin and asked cautiously. Although it was a little rude to ask this question, and no matter how he looked at it, it couldn't be luck. If passing the first curve was luck, could it be that passing the other 2 curves was also luck? There were too many details that had to be taken care of at the end. A single mistake could result in a car crash. However, Lin Yin had managed to overtake the car smoothly. It didn't look like luck at all. But even so, 3 consecutive turns and overtaking was too amazing. If it wasn't luck, it would be too terrifying. Luck? Perhaps. Lin Yin grinned and gave him an ambiguous answer. What luck? How could it be luck? *CK. You guys weren't in Sister Yan's car. I was in the passenger seat the entire time, so I saw everything clearly. If it was luck, Sister Yan and I would have been killed. Pei Yutong looked agitated. Pei Yutong had watched as Lin Yin operated the car crazily. Her eyes were calm and focused. Luck, my foot. Alright, let's not talk about this. Deity suddenly said, Miss Lin, you may not know Air Commander well. I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to win against him later. I've seen some video information about Air Commander's racetrack. You can take this opportunity to learn more about him. Chapter 179. There's no need for that, replied Lin Yin. There's no need for that? God was taken aback. Didn't you say that it would be difficult for me to win? Since I can't win, I don't want to waste my time. Lin Yin grinned at him. Captain, what Miss Lin said does make sense, Mumu told God. Before Deity could say anything else, he heard a bang and the door of the preparation area was kicked open. At that moment, a tall, fat man with both hands in his trouser pockets swaggered in. Wow, not bad. The fat man scanned the crowd before his eyes landed on Lin Yin. I didn't know that Pei Yutong had found an expert. Song Zi? Pei Yutong frowned when he saw the fat man. His name was Song Zi, and he was Song Yanan's older brother. He was famous in the capital city for being a spoiled brat. A few years ago he had been involved in a fight at a bar. Apparently they had fought over a girl and injured the other party. Song Zi had disappeared for a few years after that. Who would have thought that he would resurface? Big brother, slow down. Wait for me. Song Yanan chased after him with a dozen young men. Useless thing. Song Zi eyed Song Yanan coldly. You can't even handle a woman. Why do I have a useless brother like you? Song Yanan, who looked aggrieved, muttered softly, You can't blame me. Song Zi sneered coldly as he stroked his chin and studied Lin Yan. This girl looked pretty and familiar. She looked like an actress, but she was much prettier. He pointed at Lin Yan. Lass, you don't have to accompany my brother tonight. You just have to serve me. What did you say? Pei Yutong was enraged. Lin Yan tugged at Pei Yutong and grinned at Song Zi. You have to beat me first. Wow, you are so arrogant. Do you think you are good at racing? Do you feel a little arrogant after beating a few speed members? You don't even care about the Air Force? Song Zi's lips curled up slightly. The speed members' faces darkened, but they didn't say anything. Even they felt embarrassed. The four of them had been on the track at the same time, but they had been kicked out by a woman. No matter how angry they were, they didn't have the face to say anything. It was too embarrassing. Not only had they embarrassed Speed, but they had also embarrassed their captain, Air Commander. Girl, Air Force won't even need a minute to send you off the track. You're an adult now, you should know your place, Song Zi said. That's impressive. Lin Yan nodded. Alright then. Get the Air Force here. Miss Lin, don't be rash. At that moment, God hurried forward and whispered to Lin Yan, Miss Lin, I understand how you feel, but you have to know something first. What is it? Asked Lin Yan. Your opponent is Speed's captain, Air Commander. He once fought against Lang Mang, one of the disciples of the racetrack's Grim Reaper. God frowned. That's impressive. What happened next? Lin Yan grinned. The result isn't important. What's important is that Air Commander made it to the top 8 of the second level of the international competition. Originally, Speed wouldn't have qualified to participate in the second level of the international competition. However, because of their captain, Air Commander, he managed to elevate Speed's level. Chapter 180. God told Lin Yan solemnly, Air Commander didn't just qualify for the second level of the international competition. He also placed 8th. Miss Lin, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Lin Yan wasn't dumb, so she understood what God was trying to say. He was trying to tell her how terrifying Air Commander was and how good he was at controlling the racetrack. Besides, Air Commander mentioned in an interview that he knew Lang Mang's coach, the racetrack's Grim Reaper. He even learned a few tricks from him. He's really scary, Mumu muttered softly. You know the racetrack's Grim Reaper? Lin Yan was perplexed. When had she ever met Air Commander? She didn't know him at all. How had he learned a few tricks from him? Where had he learned them? In her dreams? Miss Lin, there's no need for us to be angry with them. Previously we lost one race and now you've won another one. According to the rules, this is a draw. We can delay the last race indefinitely. This way there won't be a winner. Miss Lin, you and Pei Yutong won't have to pay any price. God analyzed the situation to Lin Yan. That's what I meant. Pei Yutong nodded eagerly. Both he and Lin Yan had agreed to the bet with Song Yaonan. However, based on the current situation, they hadn't lost. According to the rules, this was a draw, so there was no need for them to pay any price. Miss Lin, only a fool would bet on a bet that he knows he will lose. As long as we use the rules reasonably, we will be invincible. The rules of this race have never stated when the next round can be carried out after a tie. Deity smiled. Actually, Song Yaonan and Pei Yutong had been too arrogant. Both Song Yaonan and Pei Yutong had believed that they would win. Thus, they hadn't set the rules for overtime after a draw. Coincidentally, their arrogance had allowed God to find a loophole in the rules. God Yan and Lin Yan analyzed the situation. There were two main reasons. If Lin Yan and Air Commander were to compete, she wouldn't be able to win. She would definitely lose. In that case, they would lose the competition and Lin Yan's bet. Would they really have to let Lin Yan lose the competition and spend the night with Song Yaonan or Song Zi? God didn't care if Pei Yutong would crawl under Song Yaonan's crotch and disband his team. It had nothing to do with him. Even if Pei Yutong lost and fulfilled his end of the bet, he deserved it. He shouldn't implicate Lin Yan and Pei Yutong. Haha, what's wrong? You don't dare to compete anymore? Why are you so cowardly? Hearing Deity's analysis, Song Zi suddenly sneered. Hearing Song Zi's words, Deity said lightly, Is your provocation useful to us? As long as we don't want to, we can extend the overtime indefinitely. You will never win against Miss Lin and me. Cowards are not cowards. It's meaningless to say that. We are a racing team and we only act according to the rules. Chapter 181. Why are you talking so much? Aren't you just a coward? You don't even have the guts to compete. How can you boast? Song Zi's face darkened. If they followed God's plan, they wouldn't be able to beat ZH1, let alone that woman. If they refused to compete, how could they win? Haha. What a bunch of cowards. Song Zi smirked. Pei Yutong, you're not a man at all. You've disgraced a man. Pei Yutong pursed his lips and replied nonchalantly, so what? I won't compete with you during the overtime. Are you angry? I'm going to piss all of you off. It didn't matter if he lost, but he couldn't drag Lin Yan down with him. If he didn't compete, no one would suffer a loss. Their opponent was the famous Air Commander, who had made it to the top 8 of the second level of the international competition. There was nothing wrong with his brain. Why would he participate in a competition that he was bound to lose? Ha! Song Zi took a few steps forward and stood beside Pei Yutong. His plump palm gently patted Pei Yutong's right cheek. Little B** starred, you are really crafty. F** CKU? Pei Yutong glared at him furiously, veins popping on his forehead. He wanted to hit him, but he restrained himself. He had promised Big Brother that he would never fight again. Otherwise, he would have to bear the consequences himself. What? You want to fight back? Why don't you try? Song Zi continued to pat Pei Yutong's face. Before Pei Yutong could respond, Lin Yan sprang to her feet and glared at Song Zi. I didn't say that I wouldn't compete. Song Zi, who was startled by Lin Yan's words, stopped and glanced at her. Alright, you said it. I didn't break the rules and force you to compete. Of course, replied Lin Yan. ZH1's team members and Pei Yutong's expressions changed. Was Lin Yan crazy? They could have used the rules of the track to endlessly extend the overtime. Sigh, God's God stared at Lin Yan and sighed softly. Lin Yan was too impulsive. She had fallen into their trap. Song Zi and the others couldn't wait for Lin Yan to agree. Sister Yan, are you crazy? Pei Yutong gazed at Lin Yan in shock. Our opponent is Speed's captain, Air Commander. However, it was pointless to say anything now. Lin Yan had already agreed to it, and someone like Song Zi wouldn't give her a chance to change her mind. Song Zi immediately took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, Air Force, when are you arriving? Alright, it's in Team 1's preparation area. Come on in and prepare for overtime. With that, Song Zi hung up the phone. After a few minutes, there was a knock on the door. Song Yaonan hurried forward and opened the door to the arena. A young man who was wearing a blue Speed uniform and holding a helmet in his hands, strolled into the arena. Captain. When they saw the man, the rest of the Speed members quickly surrounded him. They looked extremely aggrieved, like children who had done something wrong. They didn't dare to look at the man directly. Air Commander had short hair and looked very spirited. However, he looked a little unhappy at the moment. What's wrong? I heard that the 4 of you lost to a girl. Air Commander glanced at the Speed members. This was a huge humiliation for Air Commander and Speed. Chapter 182. Captain, I'm sorry. We were careless. If you could give us another chance. One of the Speed team members gritted his teeth. Air Commander wasn't the only one who felt humiliated. Give you another chance? Air Commander sneered. On the track, a win is a win and a loss is a loss. If you lose the race, you can point at your opponent and say, if you have the guts, run another race. Was it my fault just now? The Speed team members were rendered speechless by Air Commander's rebuttal. Just as Air Commander had said on the racetrack, a win was a win and a loss was a loss. The racetrack only cared about the results. Who would care if you had performed poorly or made any mistakes? I'm really disappointed with your performance this time. 4 of you surrounded a girl on the track, but she still overtook you. Looks like I'll have to think about changing to a new group of team members, Air Commander said coldly. The Speed team members lowered their heads in unison. Indeed, Air Commander was right. The 4 of them couldn't beat a girl on the track. If word got out, alright Air Commander, don't blame them. This was an exhibition race, not an official race. Besides, the girl isn't famous. It's understandable that they underestimated her and didn't go all out. Song Zi chuckled. The rest of the Speed members looked at Song Zi gratefully. They felt that what Song Zi said was right and it stabbed straight into their hearts. If they had known that the girl was capable, they wouldn't have let their guard down. They would have given it their all the moment they had left the starting line. They wouldn't have given the girl a chance. Song Zi, don't worry. Although my team member made a small mistake, the outcome will be the same. We won't lose this race, Air Commander assured Song Zi. Haha. Of course I believe in you. You are one of the top 8 in the second level of the international competition. How could there be a mishap? Song Zi chuckled. By the way, Air Commander, you mentioned that you know Lang Mang. When are you going to introduce him to us? I'll make sure that you're satisfied with the arrangements, Song Yaonan said with a grin. Haha. Lang Mang is my most respected rival. If there's a chance, I might even be able to invite the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Air Commander grinned. Really? Song Yaonan was shocked. Air Commander Almighty, did you say that you knew him? Of course. Air Commander glanced at Song Yaonan. I remember that it was during the second level of the international competition. It was Lang Mang's first time participating in a large-scale competition. His master, the racetrack's Grim Reaper, came to cheer for him. You don't know how much the racetrack's Grim Reaper admires me. She said that I have more potential than Lang Mang and wanted to take me in as her disciple. However, I didn't agree. Air Commander's God. Song Yaonan was shocked as he gave Air Commander a thumbs up. Awesome. Lin Yin was rendered speechless by Air Commander's words. This fellow sure knew how to brag. She didn't even know him, yet he said that his potential was above Lang Mang's. She even wanted to take him as her disciple, yet he rejected her? How shameless could he be? Haha, Air God, let's talk about this later. Let's win this competition first and then I'll arrange the banquet, Song Zi said. The most important thing right now was overtime. Everything else could be discussed during the banquet. Chapter 183. I'm curious to know who beat 4 of my team members. Air Commander stood rooted to the ground as he surveyed the ZH-1 team members and Pei Yutong coldly. It's me. Lin Yin waved her hand and gestured for the ZH-1 team members to move away. Soon they retreated to a corner. Lin Yin stared at Air Commander with a stoic expression. Just for fun? Ahaha. You have a death wish. If it hadn't been for this race, would you have competed with our captain? You can brag about it for the rest of your life. One of the ZH-1 team members mocked Lin Yin. However, the moment Air Commander saw Lin Yin, the smile on his face froze. His eyes were filled with disbelief and astonishment. Very quickly, Air Commander frowned deeply. He shook his head and rubbed his eyes with his hands. Was he hallucinating or seeing things? Air Commander glanced at Lin Yin again. Air Commander's eyes landed on Lin Yin, and his pupils constricted. He instinctively took a few steps back in an exaggerated manner. How could this be? How could this happen? Was he dreaming? That woman. That face. The racetrack's Grim Reaper. Air Commander gasped as he stared at Lin Yin. Even though the racetrack's Grim Reaper had deliberately concealed his appearance every time he appeared, and some people didn't even know whether he was a man or a woman, or whether he was handsome or ugly, Air Commander had seen the racetrack's Grim Reaper's true appearance. Back then, Lang Mang had participated in the second level of the international competition for the first time. It had also been his first time entering the second level. The racetrack's Grim Reaper had accepted Lang Mang's invitation to watch the race. Although many professional racers knew that the racetrack's Grim Reaper had appeared, there were many people in the VIP area. Hence, no one knew who the racetrack's Grim Reaper was. After the race, Air Commander had been curious about the racetrack's Grim Reaper, so he had secretly followed Lang Mang. In the end, in a separate preparation room, Air Commander saw with his own eyes that Lang Mang was calling a young girl master. Everyone knew that Lang Mang only had one master, and that was the racetrack's Grim Reaper. At that moment, Air Commander couldn't believe his eyes. The racetrack's Grim Reaper was actually a female racer. She was so young and beautiful. Air Force had even taken a photo of Lang Mang and the racetrack's Grim Reaper in the preparation room. As for the girl in front of him, Air Commander was 100% sure that she was the girl he had met in Lang Mang's preparation room. Air Commander had even memorized his conversation with the racetrack's Grim Reaper. The young and beautiful girl pointed out Lang Mang's series of problems on the racetrack in a few words. Lang Mang listened patiently to the side, recording it with a pen and paper from time to time. He never retorted. Captain. The speed members called out to Air Commander when they saw him in a daze. What the hell? Air Commander pondered silently. He couldn't understand why the racetrack's Grim Reaper would appear in such a place. More importantly, his opponent was Lang Mang's master, the racetrack's Grim Reaper. What a joke. He would never race against the racetrack's Grim Reaper. Not in this lifetime. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.